I guess you usually do that before we end up on the phone.
Yeah, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. There we go. It's going live now.
Okay.
It is live now with a countdown timer. Episode 5.
Are we live or?
No, we're live. We're live now.
Okay.
Live now. Seems there's 2 people on the line there. Hello, 2 people. Whoever you might be listening to the live. If you feel the urge, leave a text.
Preparing small spaces. All right.
Preparing small spaces. That is what we are doing today. We are preparing small spaces. What are we preparing small spaces for? Well, you're going to have to stay on the line to figure out what small spaces I'm talking about here.
Children who disobey?
Well, that's a good thing for small spaces. It's where you put children who disobey, isn't it? In the small spaces.
Exactly.
Oh, we're back down to 1. Oh, for a moment we had 2. Oh, well.
Oh, I guess I offended them.
You must have. It's not hard. I forgot to tell you, we got some hate mail for the other show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's in the show notes for the other show.
Huh.
I managed to. It's been over 3 years, and I managed to finally piss somebody off again. God, it's been a long time since I've managed to piss somebody off. I've tried so hard.
What was the hate mail for?
Oh, they don't like my snide comments. You'll have to go read it. It's I'm keeping it secret from everyone until showtime on Thursday.
Ah. Oh, okay. Nothing for this show then.
No, it's not this show. This show here, we don't have enough people listening yet to send me hate mail.
Fair enough.
I'm looking forward to it, though. It'll be really entertaining when we finally start getting it. Because we will, eventually. Eventually we will. It's pretty much impossible for people not to send hate mail. Episode 5. Tavern Talk. Shooting shit at the tavern. 5 whole weeks now. Holy crap.
My mom has a timer on. Ivy's getting exactly 5 minutes left with my mom, and then the timer goes off. But could you please let them know that they need to calm down and be a lot quieter?
Yeah, there you
yes,
go.
I can hear them.
Yes, and I can't hear them, so you might be able to, but I can't hear anything, so it's all good.
It's a little distracting.
Yeah, it can be.
Life with children.
Uh-huh. It's such an exciting time in the world we have today.
Mm-hmm.
Can't believe I forgot to get this set up here.
Got my phone back.
All right, that is all set. Save that. And we are down to 8 minutes to go before showtime. Yeehaw. Hi, we're back to 2 people listening. All right. We're going to have some fun tonight. All kinds of fun, interesting stuff. We got our special guest is going to ring you about time he's ready to go. How's he going?
I think so.
Okay, he's going to pop into your Discord.
Well, I assume since you called me from your Discord channel and I called you on your Discord channel, that you can just give him your Discord channel?
I don't know. Whoever, one of us can bring him into the conversation, I'm sure. I have no idea how Discord works, so.
Okay, well.
I'm barely able to make it function for a phone call, so.
Okay, well, how about this? I'm going to hang up and call you back from my server.
Okay.
Because that way, when he joins my server, he'll be part of our conversation. Okay?
Do that.
All right, bye.
There we go.
All right, so I called you.
If Jesus takes me far.
Okay, let me pull that off. I got to make sure. Talk again.
I called you from my server. Hopefully that will work for when he joins my server, because I can give him the information to get into my server.
Yeah, that's what you need. Okay, that'll work. That shall work. I do have a Discord server. I just haven't figured out how to make it work yet, so it's all good. Check 1 2 1 2 check. All right, I'm pulling through the volumes, so you can hear the music. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. So we're doing all right then. Everything else is coming together. Yeah. Welcome to it. We're coming down to 6 minutes to showtime, folks. Get out there and tell folks we're here. Everyone, share the word. Hit like. Don't forget to hit like on the YouTube.
That'd be nice.
You know, anyone who's logged in, hit the like button. It might actually help us in the rankings or whatever.
Phones really suck for trying to figure out how to get to the different things.
I have no idea how it works on a phone. I can barely make phone calls with mine, which is really a sad state of affairs considering how technologically advanced I am, or I used to be. I used to be majorly. I used to be there for every little change that was happening. I was right on top of it, latest and greatest of everything. I signed up for accounts for newest things that come down the pike as soon as they come down the pike. And then just the last few years, I've just not been interested in being on the bleeding edge of everything.
Yeah, and it only takes a year, 12 months to fall so far behind it's nearly impossible to catch up.
You basically just start all over again. You start with everything, and then you try to keep up again. But it's a constant battle of keeping up, and it just annoys the fuck out of me. I can't manage it. Hey, we got 3 people listening. Yeehaw! Don't forget, folks. Say hi. Say hello. We need trolls. You know, one of these days I'll learn how to type and talk at the same time. I wouldn't bet on it happening too soon, though. All right, we're coming down to 5 minutes. We're getting there. How long is this song for opening time? Yeah, it's only 2 minutes and 48. So we'll give it a little bit more chatting before we launch into things. And I tried
before we completely go crazy and lose our screws.
Yeah, I tried to locate the jingle for second half of the show, and it seems it doesn't exist on the internet. I gotta listen to a lot of back shows of No Agenda to steal it out of one of their shows.
Yeah, they don't really use that jingle. I think I've only heard it like once.
Oh, they used to use it all the time. You gotta remember, I've been listening to No Agenda show for 10 years.
Yeah.
I've been listening to it since 10 years this year. I've been listening to it since 2011. And back in the beginning, like if you listen to some of those early shows, like I was listening to No Agenda show back where if you sent them $25, they would read your note, you know, before they had all of the donors they have now. You know, they are what is known as the 10-year overnight success. It wasn't until their 10th anniversary show that they suddenly had mass amounts of donors to their show. Of course, that was when I became a knight, was in their 10-year anniversary show. Was when I became a knight, because it had taken me that long to donate enough money to them, because I didn't have any money back then, so I really couldn't donate. So, but yeah, it's like, but I've been listening to them, and they used to use the second half of the show all the time, along with numerous other things they used to do. And of course, what happened was all their second half of show became mainstream. So it was no longer conspiracy theories. It's really quite the trip. Like if you started back in their early shows and listened forward, you would also listen to the Buzzkill. You'd listen to Buzzkill go from not believing anything to endorsing this stuff. he went from buzzkill to crackpot. It's really quite funny. Well, Adam's never really changed his course. Buzzkill's massively changed his course from early in the show. Although he's going back to being a bit more of a buzzkill in the last 6 months. I've noticed he's gone back to being a bit more of a buzzkill in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, it ebbs and flows, but it is really interesting to hear them. All right, it is time to load us up for the show. Let's bring in some Days of Thunder.
These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still.
Yeehaw! I love that song. That is such a cool song. All right.
You need to check your Discord real quick.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt with technical stuff, but
what's pending?
need you to accept the friend request.
There you
Otherwise, we can't invite another person in.
All done. Wow,
There
wow,
we
wow.
go.
Wow, wow, wow.
Yes, I'm very good at whining.
Wow. Yes, you're well practiced at it. You're very well practiced at it. You've had years of practicing at it, and you're learning new lessons from your kids, I'm sure. All right, so this is going to be a lovely, entertaining show. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be hiding out there on the globe this evening. It's episode 5 of Shooting the Shit at the Rogues Tavern, preparing small spaces. The tavern, as it was in the Old West, the center of the community where everything got done. This is a value for value show, and I like to acknowledge No Agenda Show. They are providers of inspiration and the occasional stolen sound clip.
Squirrel!
So I like to let them know that, yes, I listen to them and I steal their material whenever I get a chance. I don't take it all the time, but until I get my own material, I have to continue stealing theirs. There's really not much I can do about that. Anyway, thank them very much. And what are we going to cover on this show? Well, we start with, if you were paying any attention when we first set the show off there, I was showcasing my booty from when I was growing something green and tender during the summertime. Forgot I had it. I think I'm going to see if I can open my mind up tonight just for fun. This will be rather entertaining. Uh-oh, I'm talking into the wind. There's nobody here. Hello.
I'm here, sorry.
Oh, really?
Sort of yes, sort of no. I need to go check out to see what that noise was. I'll be back.
Oh, okay. Whatever noise that was, I have no idea. All right, well, I'll just continue on this merry way for the few people that have showed up for the show, taking time out of their lovely evenings or late night, depending on where you're located. We're 9 o'clock here on the West Coast, but if someone tunes in from any further east, it could be 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 5 in the morning. I don't know. I know it's a tough time for anyone to catch our show live from multiple places, but I do know there are lots of insomniacs out there who just want to hear people ramble on about whatever comes to mind. So before I go on too much further, I do want to recognize also out there that the Rogues Tavern, of course, were the inspiration for this show. And the Rogues Tavern is going to be working on its ministry of things. And tonight I have decided to do some fun here and just do some reading passages from my very old originally, it's a King James Version Bible. And what I've done is I've flipped open randomly to the book of Revelation, landed on chapter 2, and I want to read the first 4 verses of chapter 2 of the book of Revelations to open up the ministry of the Rogues Tavern. Unto the angel of the church of Ephesus write, these things saith he that holdeth the 7 stars in his right hand, who walketh in the midst of the 7 golden candlesticks. I know thy works, and thy labor, and thy patience, and how thou canst not bear them which are evil, and thou hast tried them, which say they are apostles, and are not, and hast found them liars, and hast borne, and hast patience, and for my name's sake hast labored, and hast not fainted. Nevertheless, I have somewhat against thee, because thou hast left thy first love. Okay. I'm not even going to try and figure that out, but there you go. Just because I can and I can bring these things up, we are going to entertain folks with some of this stuff from time to time. And actually every episode now, I think I'm going to read something from it. And I like to just randomly flip open my book, my Bible, and read it from time to time. Not that I'm an overly believer, folks. The Bible, though, is a fascinating book, and it plays on the theme of tonight's show, which is preparing small spaces. So we should deal with preparing small spaces before we dive into second half of show stuff. So preparing small spaces. This is actually prepping. And for those of you that haven't quite figured out, what I'm talking about here is when you live in small spaces. Like currently, I live in an apartment that's 900 square feet, itty bitty living space. Well, how's that quote go from World Magnificent Power? All in an itty bitty living space. I need that. I need that quote from Aladdin. The one that.
Hey man, that genie was awesome.
Yeah, the one that was played by. Oh God, what's his name? I can't get his name in my head. One of the best actors ever. The funny guy. Committed.
His name was just in my head. Now it ran away. It's been a day for thoughts to run away from me.
Yeah, I can't get his name in my head. But so anyone in the chat want to help us out there? We could use someone to toss us a bone here.
I do agree. He is the best actor. Robin Williams. There
Thank
we
you,
go.
Robin Williams. I was just about to go Good Morning Vietnam. That's what always triggers it for me. But yeah, Robin Williams, and that was the most amazing Aladdin genie ever, and nobody is ever going to beat that.
No.
So at any rate, what I'm talking about is itty bitty living spaces. Well, average living spaces, 900 square feet. That's the average 2-bedroom apartment in the city I live in, which kind of sucks wind. But what I'm talking about is, how do you prep if you live in a space like that? How do you store stuff? Where do you store stuff? What kind of stuff do you store? Well, you still need to store the same stuff that all those people who have, 2,000 square foot homes store. And I need to light my pipe.
And the question is, how the heck do you fit all that stuff into your place? Like, my place is not overly small. I could probably fit 2 of your places in my place, but we've got 4 people living here, so it feels really small.
Yeah.
And we have like no closet space at all.
Mm-hmm.
None. No storage space, no closet space. It's just all open room space.
Yeah.
So
well, that's part of my problem here. I don't have a whole lot of closet space. I do have some, but I've got no space for anything else. Mr. Monkey Tolston, Discord audio? Oh, the heck? Somebody's trying to ring through. Is it coming through on Discord over here? Why is it coming through on my iPad? My iPad's not connected to my Discord. Must be one of my boys' friends.
probably.
Continue with your thought there. Sorry.
Thoughts. I had a thought.
Space.
Right.
Storage.
Spaces. So because we have no closet space, I found a bunch of ways to make like the walls of my rooms into shelving units. And actually, I think it looks pretty nice. But big Tupperwares help to store food and whatnot. And that's basically how I found the space, is finding a way to turn the walls into like shelves. You have to do it a little differently, though.
Well, that's what I've done in many ways. I've put shelves up on all my walls. I've got shelvings up there. I've also gone out and bought those big totes. Those big totes you can pick up for about anywhere from $15 to $20 at the hardware stores or Canadian Tire or whatever, especially when they put them on sale. I think I picked mine up for $12 at Christmas time. They take up a fair chunk of space in my bedroom, but they hold everything in them, and it helps keep them dried and secured and everything else. And that's one of the things you can do. I also have eaten up every single bit of shelf space I have, and because I started packing things into mason jars, I've eaten up tons of space with the mason jars all over the place.
Yeah, there's also the aspect of I use a lot of dressers. Dressers have amazing storage capacity, and then you still got the top that you can put some like bookshelves and stuff on, or those like $20 plastic drawer things that you can get.
Yeah.
Put those on top of the dressers.
Yeah.
It works really well. Looks a little odd and cluttered, but it works really well for storage space.
Yeah, it really would.
Yes.
That's a great way. It's a great thing. I hadn't thought about dressers. I don't have any room for any more dressers. So all my dressers I do have are full of clothes.
Well, for a while there, people kept giving me dressers. I was like, sure, I'll take that and get rid of my broken shelf that I have here instead.
Yeah, well, a dresser contains probably as many shelves as a broken shelf, and except they're in a drawer, slides away.
Yeah, and eventually when you have so many sticks of furniture, you start giving the different sticks of furniture names. Like I have one dresser, it looks like it's happy. It's got 2 drawers on the upper part and then one long drawer underneath the 2, and it looks like it's smiling. So it's a happy dresser.
One of these days, I'm going to learn to pack my pipe so it stays lit.
I hear that all the time from people who smoke pipes.
Yeah, well, there's a science to it. There's a science to packing a pipe so it stays lit.
Mm.
You got to pack it not too tight, just tight enough, and so the tobacco will start burning, and then it'll just keep burning until you burn all the way through it. I've managed it a couple of times. I'd say it's about 2 out of 10 times I pack it, it stays lit. The others I keep lightening, stir it, and pack a little until all of a sudden it magically works. So I think I might. No, still not there yet. So yeah, but living in a small storage. Now the thing is, what you need in this space, you need to make sure you're stored up with, preferably at least 6 months of food, preferably a year's worth of food stocks, and we're talking like your important stuff, talking beans, rice, flour, sugar, salt, canned goods, as many canned goods as you can, dried pasta. If you get into canning your own stuff, like I've still got canned tomato sauce and salsa from last summer or last fall when I was canning everything.
Yeah, that tomato sauce is actually really good.
What's that, Mike?
You gave me a couple, and I opened one not too long ago, and it was still great, and it actually tasted really good.
Yep. Well, that's it. I've used it myself in the last few weeks. I started using it because I realized my canned goods, if you buy the commercial canned stuff, class Discord audio, what the hell?
It doesn't make any sense because there's nothing coming through on Discord.
No, it's coming through on Discord on my iPad. It's like I want to see who's signed in on Discord on my iPad.
Whoever it is, sign them out?
No, I'm not going to sign them out because I don't use it.
Oh, okay.
It's one of my kids. Okay. It's one of my boys. Okay. And all his buddies are trying to reach hold of him right now. And and he's obviously not at his computer where he could probably take Discord. But he listens to it's like they borrow my iPad and they install their stuff on it.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Again.
Well, I'll sit here and describe what else I was going to be describing and talking about. As far as what you want for canned goods, you want to store up, commercial goods. Like if you buy the commercial tomato sauce and stuff, that stuff is good for 5 years or more. But if you make your own homemade canned goods, if you do home canning, which is put in jars, so it's home jarring of stuff, it's usually only good for 1 to 3 years. After that, it's probably still good, but you're risking it. So you want to use it in your first year and a half of use. In fact, what many people used to do is they usually can the stuff up in the fall from their summer harvest, and it lasted them to their first harvest in early summer. And then they were on into the fresh products again, and then they started canning all over again. It's a complete cycle, like everything else in the world and life. It's all a cycle. It just goes on and on and on. You do one thing and do it another. Now, I did want to talk about another wonderful thing I did this week, and that is I actually took the time out to film me making the Rogues Tavern's chocolate chip cookies. They've been renamed from just plain old chocolate chip cookie recipe that's been handed down to me over the years, and I actually put a video up online for that chocolate chip cookie recipe. But when you watch the video, I don't cover the recipe in its completeness. I don't give you the measurements. If you want the measurements, because this is a unique recipe in many ways, you're going to have to go to the Rogues Tavern, sign up as a member, free membership, to get the recipe for the Rogues Tavern cookies. And they are good, especially if you manage to make them right. My first batch I made, and this was the first batch of cookies I made with the Rogues Tavern vanilla, and boy, does it have good flavor.
Yes, it does. I hid mine from the kids. I only gave them each one.
Yeah. I do like the flavor of the Rogues Tavern vanilla, and I do like it. Like my first batch of cookies I made in a long time, I used the bamboo vanilla, which adds a really unique flavor for the cookies, because of course being made with rum instead of, whereas your standard vanilla is made with vodka. So you get pure vanilla flavor with the standard vanilla, but bamboo, you get these subtleties of bamboo rum with the vanilla, and it makes for a really good flavored cookie. The boys love them so much. The first batch I made, I think I got a handful of cookies before they were gone. So
that sounds about right.
Yeah, no, it sounds about right for them on cookies, period. But if they didn't taste good, they would not have eaten them. So make sure you go check that one out, folks. I just want to do that. Now, something else that falls in line with prepping and even with small spaces, if you're in small spaces and you need to grow things, now you can if you got a balcony. If you don't have a balcony, you might be SOL unless you happen to have a south-facing window. Then you'll be able to grow small things, herbs and stuff. Or what you can do is if you have a free wall, you can dedicate an entire wall to growing a vertical garden and plant herbs and other things that will grow indoors and
There's another thing that
grow
you
lights.
can do too.
What's that?
Another thing you can do is something that I'm about to set up because I don't really have great light in my house.
Mm-hmm.
What I did is I found a spot in the house where I can set a table. It's not really in the way. And on that table, I'm going to set up so that there's some of those plant lights over top of it, as well as a natural light kind of light. All of these things are good for growing plants.
Mm-hmm.
Take top of the table and turn it into a little area for just planters, or build yourself a planter of whatever size you want.
Yeah.
And so long as you have that table out of the way, you now have a nice table for growing a bunch of plants. You can do it with just lights instead of, and like anywhere in the house, really. It doesn't have to be just on the wall and vertical. You can also be like in a corner with a lamp over top of it.
Yeah, that'll work. That'll work well. And that rolls us along into where I was also heading, and that is seeds. If you do not have garden seeds now, you need to get your order in fast.
Yes.
I caught some stuff today, and my research, it seems that seed places are starting to run out on the most common varieties of seeds. Now, I don't have to worry because I placed and ordered all my seeds in early December because I'm way ahead of the game. And some of my seeds I'd ordered last fall, knowing what was coming this spring. I wanted to make sure I was not going to be short of seeds. This next year, I won't need to order as many because I'll be saving seeds for everything. But seeds is something you need to get, folks. You definitely need to get your seeds together. Order them up. Get them out. Get them where you need them.
And when you order them, try to get them as local as possible.
Oh, yeah.
For a couple of reasons. One reason is if you order them as local as possible, then they're already kind of designed for your climate. But also, a lot of online places are not willing to send seeds right now because a bunch of companies are putting bans on importing.
Yeah, well, you're going to have a tough time getting seeds out of the States or any foreign country. Getting seeds from Canada, not so hard. Yeah, in fact, Amazon has eliminated. They won't let people sell seeds internationally anymore.
No, they won't.
But I have gotten seeds from the States. I ordered a bunch of heirloom seeds from the States back in the fall. It did take them 8 weeks to get them delivered to me, but I got them, and I got some interesting ones. Like I'm going to be growing sacred tobacco this year.
Cool. Hey, I got some white sage. Sacred sage is what I bought.
The
cool.
Plant or the seeds?
The seeds.
I need some of those.
I will give you some. There's not too many, but I'm only going to try growing 2 at once so I don't end up using them all by accident. That's another thing, too. If you're not overly familiar with growing from seed like me, don't try to grow them all at once.
Mm-hmm. No,
just grow a few of them at once.
Never try to grow them all at once. I've already got seeds growing in my greenhouse, which I'm really quite thrilled with, and I'll be planting out. I think early next month is when I got to plant the seeds for the sacred tobacco, and I'm really looking forward to that one. These are the tobacco seeds I got is sacred Cherokee tobacco that made its trip through the Trail of Tears, and they kept it for years, and then then some people took over it, and they keep it year after year. They grow it. So I'll be growing that tobacco this year, which means I'll finally get real tobacco again. I haven't had sacred tobacco in 15 years. I remember my mom brought some back when she used to be on the powwow circuit.
That's amazing.
She brought me back a big bag of it one time, and it took me like 7 years to go through it. But I'm all out of it now. So I need some sacred tobacco. And that's completely different than any tobacco you'll buy in the stores or tobacco shops because it's pure tobacco. You'll be growing it without all the pesticides, herbicides, or the enhancements to the THC and other stuff they put in them. Not THC, but nicotine, sorry. THC is in the marijuana plants.
Yes, it is.
All right, so let's see what we got going here. What do we got? Time now. Yeah, it's only 9:30 or 9:20. All right, but get your seeds, pull your seeds together, and think about when you're in a small space, what you're going to do in your house to make it easier for you to store stuff. You end up pushing a lot of stuff. You end up having less room in your house because you take up so many wall spaces and everything else. But in the end, it allows you to store all the stuff you need for survival. One of the things you'll also want to figure out is make sure you have a supply of water stored somewhere. It's like I don't have a lot of room. Water takes up a lot of space, but you do want to have some water. You'll need to have at least a day to 2 days worth of water stored. And that's enough water for every person in the house, which is about a 2-liter bottle a day for every person, I think, is the minimum you need. So you might consider, 4 liters, which is, I think 4 liters is a gallon. You want about a gallon of water per person per day. And that's your living water. That doesn't include pouring it in the toilet to flush it. That's just what you're going to drink. You're basically going to be out of luck for your toilet and your showers. If there's a grid down situation, you want to think about what you need to survive.
Also, grid down situation, try to think of what's nearby that you can also survive on. Like for us, we're near running water. Yeah. Running water right off the glacier. It's not always the best to drink, but it will work.
Oh, you got to remember. Well, where we're at right now, we truthfully don't need to store but about a half a day's supply, because within 1 kilometer of virtually everyone who lives here, there is fresh water of some sort, whether it's fresh running water, a pond, or something. That water can that water can be made drinkable.
That is true.
All water can be made drinkable. Might not be the perfect crystal clear stuff out of your faucet, but all that water can be made drinkable. So we're good there. The island we live on, I don't think there's anyone that is not at least within 1 kilometer of water somewhere, a pond or something else. We don't live in a place that's going to be scarce of water.
Oh, before the thought runs away again, I wanted to mention when you're storing stuff on shelves.
Yeah.
Make sure that you don't use that heavy duty plastic stuff. It claims it can hold up to 500 pounds, but it can't. Our black shelf, we had it in our closet. It just broke.
Oh,
and
one of those plastic shelves instead of steel.
The heavy duty plastic that claims it can hold up to 500 pounds.
Yeah.
No, it can't. Yeah. It had about 200 pounds on it, and it collapsed.
Yeah.
It was terrible and loud.
Yeah, I bet.
Luckily, it's over a carpeted floor, so nothing broke. But
that's good.
Still,
that's good.
No good.
No, you want steel. You want steel shells or good solid wood shells.
Yep. Just figure I'd mention that to anyone out there who is looking to start storing stuff and also looking to save a buck. That's what we did. Don't do it.
Yep. Try to save a buck and you end up spending twice as much. Happens way too often. I see that happen way too often. All right. Let's see where we're going. So that pretty much covers what the primary thing of the show was here tonight, which is just to figure out how to prepare. It's not too late yet, folks. It's getting closer to too late now. We've got a lot of food troubles coming down the line that are only just starting to make the news. I don't know how Canada's supply is right now. I got to check into it, but I know the United States is selling off all its wheat and soybeans to China right now. I imagine Canada's right behind them because our prime idiot in office there is in love with China, so he's constantly doing things for them. So he's probably busy. Yep. He's probably busy selling off all of our farm goods to China. So keep that one in mind. And so you want to have it stocked up. I do know that all the stuff that I've kept stocked up, and just since I bought it, some of the stuff is 6-8 months old, maybe a year. But since the time I bought it, it's gone up 10 and 15% in cost.
Yeah, I was just going to say that if you are only just starting to stock up now, go for things like rice and flour. Once the summer hits, I foresee the flour running out again. because everybody's gonna be like, oh my god, we should be cooking from home, and they're gonna all pick flour again.
Well, that's what happened. That's what happened last year, but
exactly. But like the rice, especially because rice has gone up a lot in price. Rice is one of the main staples in my house.
Yeah,
and it's gone up like $5. Sometimes it's up $10. Sometimes it's only up $5. It's really jumping around, but it hasn't gone below $5 more than it was before.
It's going to start jumping around more when countries such as Taiwan start importing rice. You know, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Taiwan was one of the major exporters of rice in the world. The fact that they're importing rice tells you there's a problem.
Oh, there's another country that is a main exporter of, I think it was soybeans. And now
Brazil,
they're importing soybeans.
Argentina?
I think so. I can't clearly remember. I'm really bad at names. But there was a country that they are the main exporter of it. I'm sure someone out there will know exactly who I'm talking about. And they've had to start importing soybeans because they need to keep their local prices down. The local prices were shooting up. And that's been happening a lot throughout different countries on whatever that country is a main exporter of. They have to actually start importing it just so they can keep the local prices down.
Oh, yeah.
Canada and the U.S. aren't doing that. They're just exporting everything left, right, and center.
Yep, absolutely.
Kind of reminds me of a kid with confetti.
Oh, God, yeah. They're nuts. Here we go. We can use this for the jingle to the second half of the show.
Warning, warning, unlawful content.
There we go. Let's go with that.
Sure.
Let's jump into something really fun here. Well, maybe not fun. I can't remember why I put this one in here. Oh, yeah. Things are getting a whole lot worse. The clown show begins. This is a video from Tony Heller. If you haven't watched Tony Heller, you need to. He doesn't put all his videos up on YouTube no more. He's now using, what's that other tube? Something tube. He's got a link.
I don't remember.
He doesn't have a link in there to his other channel because he's on the edge of being censored at YouTube.
Hello, this is Tony Heller from RealClimateScience.com.
Only take a minute.
The Joe Biden clown show has begun. In 1987, just about everybody understood that Joe Biden was a clown. He's been running for president for almost 40 years, and this is how he was described before the 1988 race. So far, the Democrats have been scraping the bottom of the barrel with the likes of Reverend Jesse Jackson, Senator Joe Biden, and Senator Paul Simon. If Joe Biden were to win the nomination and then succeed to the presidency, that would spell the end of daytime and primetime TV. Just
That's a weird thing to have saying. There you go. There's a piece of trivia for everyone on there. And this is a really interesting thing about everything is getting much worse while magically getting much better. Have you noticed the magical getting better or heard the news out of the States? They're magically starting to open up and remove the lockdown restrictions in all the Democratic states.
Yes, I've noticed that. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, so magically Joe Biden gets in there and all of a sudden magically everything is better.
Except churches. They're still shut down.
They have something against churches right now. Even BC has something against churches right now for some reason. You know, they'll let hundreds of people gather in Costco or whatever, you know, at their 6 feet apart and be there forever length of time, but they won't let them go to church. Fortunately, many churches are defying that lockdown. Church is an essential service. I don't go to church. I don't fully believe in it all, but I still believe it's essential for all those who need it and those who need that particular aspect of belief.
I completely agree. That would be like trying to keep someone who needs to be out in the forest to feel normal, keeping them from the forest.
Yeah.
It's a part of their essential nature. They need that. So removing it is just chaos.
Yeah, my essential nature is all spirituality. So that's all I really need is somewhere where I can do that. And sometimes a church is nice. I haven't been to one in a long time, though. I kind of thought about
I'm trying
going
to think
to
of
one.
the last time I went to a church. I can't remember the last time I went to a church. Must have been years ago.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been to one. You know, I used to occasionally show up at midnight mass for Christmas when I could. Just because they're so cool. They're really cool to watch. A good midnight mass at an Anglican or a Catholic church.
I've never seen one of those. I've always wanted to, though, because they seem very interesting.
They are. They're so ceremonial. They bring out all the high magic. they bring out all their high magic for the on the ceremonies, and they do a lot. They do a lot of it in Latin. It's really quite fascinating to see. And then, of course, because I'm a confirmed Anglican, I go down and take my communion like a good little boy.
Cool.
You know, and even in Catholic Church, although technically it's evil for me to do, I go down and take communion anyway.
Okay, so I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
When should I invite my friend into our chat?
Oh, whenever he's ready to show up.
All right, I will double check with him, see when he's ready to show up.
Whenever he's ready to show up, we can switch the topic at any time. And I think I actually managed to get some of that THC into my body here. Yeah, I can feel my head lightening up. Maybe this is what I should use to go to sleep. I haven't been sleeping well lately. I forgot I had this, man. I got like 5 grams of pot here.
Wow. Yeah, I used to use that to make myself fall asleep, but then I developed an allergy to it.
Oh, that sucks.
A really weird allergy. Essentially I get seizures, and it's from any part of the plant. Not just the actual bud, but the stalk, or if I touch it, I get rashy, or it's just the whole plant. Okay, so he is ready to join, so I'm going to go ahead and invite him.
All right, well, bring him on in. Bring him on in. I'll double check his levels, and then we will go into it. Voice connected to Mr. Friendly.
All right.
We have Mr. Friendly on the line. Say hi.
Hello.
There you go. Say hi again so I can make sure we have levels on you.
How you doing?
Uh-oh, we got a delay.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, there you go. Are you catching us on a delay here, Mr. Friendly, or are you speaking clearly?
I am not sure.
There we go. Okay, now it's working better. Yeah, don't hit
monologue for us, man.
Yeah, say something for a moment.
All right. Today I had a Subway sandwich and it was tasty. How's that?
That works, but I'd stay away from Subway sandwiches, man. They're poor. They're made out of all kinds of crap now.
No,
you don't want to know what those are made out of anymore. What was that?
It's homemade.
Oh, homemade. Well, that's not Subway. That's a homemade Subway style sandwich. I'll go with that. That's a good way to have it. Yeah, I need to do that. I haven't done that in a long time. I need to make myself some nice long rolls and make myself my meatballs. I love a meatball sandwich. I used to enjoy the Subway meatball sandwiches till they changed the meatballs.
Yeah, they changed into a funny tasting thing.
What about the sprouts?
Oh no. Meatball sandwich, pallet full of onions, green peppers, hot peppers, and away you go. Oh, cheese. Got to have the cheese. Pile on the cheese. All right. So, Mr. Friendly, you are on this show because we're in second half of show, so we have some fun. But we got you on the show because you have had a magnificent incident and an eye-opening experience.
And just so you know, Mr. Friendly, I have not mentioned anything about anything yet. So you were kind of a surprise on the show for any listeners out there.
Yeah, it's been definitely quite the disillusioning adventure, that's for sure.
So tell us a bit about what it was.
All right, so I'm in a writing class, and they showed us a short film. It was about 5 minutes. And what it was about was two people having a subway ride. They're just sitting there facing each other, and there's absolutely no dialogue. It's this young black woman and this young bald white guy. And they seem to be having a kind of connection. You know, they're making eye contact. It looks like they might be thinking about talking to each other, but they never do. It looks like they're kind of flirting, but what ends up happening is the woman, after a little while, she gets up and she gets off the train, and they had not spoken a word. And the guy, he looks thoughtful, and he looks out after her, and when he turns around, we can see that there's a swastika tattoo on the back of his neck. Now, to me, the interpretation of this is that we were seeing an interaction between two humans. You know, they were having sort of a genuine moment. And up until the very last moment of the show, the film, that's all we really see that it is. And this reveal at the end is kind of, in my own interpretation, saying that, you know, there's this ideology here, but also a situation where there's some human complexity. And so the situation is not, you know, some stereotype. There's more to consider here than what meets the eye.
Yeah.
And so my classmates were absolutely like horrendously offended at this person. You know, the idea was that this woman was just trying to go home, and she had to face this genocidal hatred sitting right next to her, and even the most innocent of situations could just be, you know, tremendously dangerous and threatening.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them said, you know, since it was a writing class, how do we refer to somebody in a script who doesn't have a name? And the teacher said, well, in this case, you just refer to him as Skinhead. Mm. So I said, well, hold on a second here. It appears that the film is actually portraying these people in a neutral manner. And by calling him a skinhead, which is a pejorative, it creates a negative stereotype out of what is being portrayed as a complex human character. Mm-hmm. And so it removes their humanity.
Yeah.
And so I think it would be better and more compassionate towards the character to just call him, you know, maybe a bald man with a Nazi tattoo, if you need to say that.
Yeah.
And the entire class exploded into outrage, absolute outrage. I was a Nazi sympathizer and a racist.
Wow, because you had a thought and an idea that the world might be more complex than that.
How dare you?
Yeah. And, you know, the class ended, and I mean, it's a Zoom class, so I just sort of logged off. But apparently, after I was gone, a lot of the class stayed to discuss this and generate this idea of me as this monster. So the next week, when I logged on to class, I was expecting, you know, a boring lecture about writing. Mm-hmm. And what happened was a 2-hour-long crucifixion of myself, where the teacher encouraged anybody to come out and express themselves. And that happened in the form of all these, you know, little millennials speaking up about how enraged they are at me, and how, you know, they feel so unsafe and threatened by me. Mm-hmm. And calling me out by name. And the teacher was very, very compassionate and encouraging of them. And he says, you know, everybody has a right to be safe, feel safe and respected and heard.
Right.
And when I tried to say something, and keep in mind that I was shocked by this, you know, I wasn't expecting this to be a massive hate fest against me.
Yeah.
I just thought it was going to be a writing class.
Yeah.
So when I spoke up and tried to sort of defend myself, and also what I did too is I apologized. I said, I'm sorry for offending.
Never apologize.
The thing is, I wasn't
more
sorry.
Blood. Never apologize. But they just want more blood.
I wanted to apply some mitigative action and see if it affected the situation.
Yeah.
And what happened
and how'd that
was
go?
The teacher muted me and spoke at me like I was being ignorant. So apparently everybody has the right to be respected and heard, except for me, because I was the bad guy.
That's right. That's exactly how the system seems to work right now.
You thought outside the box.
Yeah. All right. I want to before we go much further down this, I've loaded up the video that you talked about in question. I want to watch a few 30 seconds or so of it from the beginning. I want to see what this is. I had watched that scene. He pulls it off his head and he smells that perfume as this, that's not bad. You know, kind of like to see that. Oh, I need the Need the last 10 seconds of it. Uh-oh, I missed the part where he gets up. Where's the part where he gets? Oh, there it is, right there. Oh, see,
Right after she gets up.
okay, yeah. So, all right. So now we know what the what it is here. Those watching in the YouTube, go watch that. I'll make sure the video link gets into the show notes on this, so you can go check it out. So up until that point, you know nothing about him. He's just a good-looking young kid who likes to have a shaved head.
Yep.
I know lots of people like that are not Nazis.
And it's actually a really cute video
It is.
entirely. I love this video, and I love the way that they put in his pensive, like, oh, I totally missed out on that kind of look. And the Nazi symbol is not, I don't think it is what the rest of his classmates were complaining about.
You only see 3/4 of it anyway.
Yeah.
You don't actually see the bottom 2 parts of it. All you see is the top 2 parts of it. So are you sure it's even a Nazi symbol?
That's a good question.
Your brain filled in
I'm
the rest.
pretty sure it's intended. I don't see what else it could be, really.
Well, I know, but the point being is that it could be something else, but that's the point being on this. So let me pop that piece up there again where he, oh, I missed it. There it is. Okay, when he gets up, that's where he sits back. So let's pop it just a tad further. 25 right there. 2 seconds in. Let's bring that up. There it is, right there. Okay, you see, yeah, you only see 2 parts of it. You only see 2 parts. You see the X. You don't see the full symbol. So it's like, yeah, okay. So let's continue along with Mr. Friendly's story here on what occurred after your lovely class. It's really a shame you didn't record that. That would have been so entertaining to play back.
That's true. I by the time I thought of it, it was almost over. Yeah. I was just too shocked, and it was kind of like I was watching this sort of freak show. Like, you're looking at it and you're thinking, this must be real because I'm seeing it in front of me, but it's so insane.
Yep.
So there's something that I wanted to point out about their reaction to this character, and it's the fact that throughout the entire film, this man is seen as just an ordinary person.
Yeah.
And it's only at the very end that we see that he's apparently a Nazi.
Well, he may be a Nazi, but yeah, that you're assuming he's a Nazi because he's got a tattoo. Yeah. That does not make you know that symbol is more than Nazi. That is the great symbol from Japan, India, South American. You know that symbol is what the Big Dipper creates in the sky every year.
That's a good point.
Okay,
so I'll rephrase. It's only at the very end that you see this symbol that could be interpreted in a variety of ways, including that he could be associated with the Nazi ideology.
That's right. That makes more sense.
And these people were so angry, and their anger was being applied retroactively, but was previously this neutral interpretation, which seems to me that it kind of shows that the hatred in this situation is coming from them, not this character.
Oh, absolutely. But the same one they cough, but the same one they huff. Hey, I almost got that.
You might need to tell him what that means.
That I stolen from the No Agenda show. Adam says it all the time. It's what you say about me is what you are yourself. In other words,
exactly,
in other words, what they're saying is so evil is something that they've internalized themselves.
Mm-hmm. And the teacher, what he said this amazing thing that was appalling to me as a writing professional. He said that when a film shows us something visually, we believe it, and that's what it is. And he's using this to say that there is nothing more here. All he is a dirty Nazi. Yeah. And I'm saying, well, there's literally spoken meaning within the film. Like, what about subtext? I couldn't believe that a writing professional would completely disregard the idea of subtext.
Yeah.
That makes me think of that saying of those who can't teach.
Yeah, sometimes that's what happens. Those who can do, those who can't teach. There's a couple of interesting comments on this video at YouTube. One of the comments, the man feels conflicted because he's confronted with the sweet taste of perfume. It creates a funny situation. However, because of the limitations he created for himself in life, he can't enjoy it. I think the message is that following any sort of belief, religion, or ideology only prevents you from living life to the fullest.
That's interesting.
That's an interesting comment.
Yeah.
Other interesting comment, I love the blue feel in this film. Another one, I love this. Another one, nom de fume. That's spam. Griefer. That's spam. And the final one, very unlikely that a man of his belief would only look with sympathy at a girl behind his limited horizon, but it would be nice.
Wow.
So you can see nobody attacked it online, as it or given anything, but some and many people interpreted it as the way Mr. Friendly's interpreted it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mr. Friendly, you still there? Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
After this very interesting class, the next day I was completely unsurprised to receive an email saying that the two instructors and the dean and the chair of the department wanted to speak with me.
Yeah.
And so I knew exactly what was happening. I was being thrown under the PC bus, and I was being made an example of.
Right.
And so I got myself an advocate, and I ended up playing them like a fiddle, to be honest with you.
Well, that's good.
So, do you want to know how it went?
Yeah. We want to know how this went, man. Don't keep us hanging.
Okay, so I started out sort of appealing to reason, trying to get them to understand that, assuming, let's just assume that this is a Nazi symbol and this represents the Nazi ideology.
Mm-hmm.
Even in this case, the symbol is separate from the person. We've all seen, well, okay, no, we may have not all seen. I have seen the movie from, the 90s or 2000s, American History X, which shows a young Nazi who undergoes a life experience that causes him to reconsider his ideology.
Right.
And at the end, he's still got all these tattoos over him, but he's a changed man.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know in this video where this person's at in their life and if it's a similar situation. So we've got to disconnect person from the symbol.
Yep.
And I tried as hard as I could to sort of explain this, but it became very clear pretty quickly that there was they were incapable of this sort of thought. They were incapable of reason.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent a while on this, and when I realized that this was a complete that I started to set up my trump card.
Mm-hmm.
And I did this by repeatedly saying that, that I understand that people were upset, but I don't know what it was that I did wrong. This is true, really.
It's absolutely true, but go ahead, keep going.
Yeah. Couldn't understand how showing compassion for a character equals out to me being a Nazi.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they started setting up their final, I guess,
Their trump card.
And their trump card, which is that that I'm basically a danger to the class. I'm a danger because I'm causing people to feel unsafe. I'm providing to them a set of ideas that is harmful to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, obviously, if I'm a threat, then I don't belong in the class.
Right.
And at that point, my advocate, me and my advocate, we laid down our card, and it's the disability card.
Uh-huh.
Now, I am on the autism spectrum with ADHD,
mm-hmm.
and my advocate said, well, if he has perceptual difficulties, then it is a bit inappropriate to discriminate against him based on something he can't control.
Yeah.
And you should have seen them backpedal. Because now, suddenly, it would be politically incorrect to discriminate against me.
Oh, yeah.
Which is beautiful.
Yeah. And there was this golden moment when my teacher was talking about, how much of an offensive threat I was and how every student deserves to feel safe and respected. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, don't I deserve that?
Oh, yeah.
There were about 4 or 5 seconds of agonized silence before he just said, well, how can we make that happen?
Well, see, the fortunate thing is you had that kind of trump card. Someone such as me facing that down, I would be in another whole different arena than you for that one. But I do love it when they're faced with their own cognitive dissonance of trying to deal with two things that don't work with each other. Mm-hmm. Oh, great job. Well, so they ended up keeping you in the class and basically almost apologizing to you, right? You'll never get an apology.
They didn't apologize to me. In fact, I told them that I was going to apologize to them. Yeah. And what I said is I said, I just feel so terrible that I've made everybody feel so bad, and I'm going to issue an apology to the class. And so right there, I checkmated them because I'm telling them everything that they want to hear, and there's no way they can rule against me. Yeah. And you see, here's the thing is before I went into this, I was disgusted at the idea of maybe having to make a fake apology. It was revolting to me. Yeah. However, halfway through this exchange, I had this epiphany that I'm not dealing with rational, mature adults here. I'm dealing with a bunch of toddlers.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you suppose there's a toddler who doesn't want to eat his broccoli and he's freaking out. You don't try and present a treatise on the vitamin properties of broccoli.
Right.
You
appeal to something in their emotions that'll help them eat it.
Exactly. And it's kind of about, in a sense, choosing your battles. So what I did is I gave them what they wanted, and I made them feel like they were right.
Nice.
And so they got to feel smug and self-satisfied, and yet I was just manipulating their weak emotions so that the situation ended up benefiting.
Excellent.
That whole thing is absolutely hilarious.
Excellent.
It's a circuit.
Work. I love it. That's good. I love it when those things come together really well. So did you have a sudden realization about what's happening out there in the leftard world?
I suppose yes. My advocate, she was a professor, a writing professor at Camosun, and she's a person who can see very clearly all this retarded shit happening in the world.
College professors are always so much down to earth, so much more down to earth than university professors, I find.
I don't know why that is.
Yeah. Because colleges deal more with the blue collar people.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Blue collar people don't have any time for the BS.
No, they don't.
There's a book called The Coddling of the American Mind.
The what?
The Coddling of the American Mind.
Coddling the American Mind? Yeah, well, that would be an interesting book to read.
It documents all these examples of how these days, the whole climate is not that, reason and logic is valued. It's that people's feelings are valued. And so by having an idea that hurts a student's feelings, it is identical to them being assaulted.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's been a thing.
There you go. There's the book, The Coddling American Mind by Jonathan Haidt.
You suck at names. No offense, Dad.
I never claimed I was good at it, man. I keep trying though. Gotta give me credit for that. Yeah, this is an interesting. It looks like an interesting book. It's at thecoddling.com. Uh-oh, we got an echo. Nope, it's gone now. Okay. Oh, no, back again. All right, keep going. So,
Well, see, my advocate, she had to actually read me several instances and examples of this phenomenon from this book to convince me that it was a fool's errand to have this insane belief that people are reasonable and logical, and that I could rely on simple rationality.
yeah.
And she had to convince me to abandon that idea.
Yeah, that's one of the
I'm
problems.
glad she did.
That's one of the problems we have in the world today, and the right is starting to realize that, and they have to start building their own culture and take back the culture from the left. At least for a little while, it'll balance in the middle. Then it'll go too far right, and it'll have to start all over again because we just can't seem to stop that freaking pendulum in the middle.
No, we keep aiming for it, but we overshoot it every time.
We keep overshooting the middle, man. It goes from one side to the other. You could see how far right it was back in the 40s and 50s, and then it started pushing to the left. And somewhere in the 70s through the mid 80s, it managed to land reasonably well in the middle. Late 90s, late 80s, early 90s, and mid 90s, it started changing. By 2000, it's hit full on up the end, so it's on its way back the other way now. Did I lose everyone? I'm still talking in a hollow tube.
No, I've kind of stopped talking while Mr. Friendly's on here because every time I talk, I seem to overpower him.
Yeah, you do.
So I've kind of been staying quiet.
Yeah. I'm sure I overpower
It's
him.
okay.
Too.
Too much.
Yeah, well, it's what happens, man. We got a conversation here going with multiple players, and I haven't done this bit before. This is my first time with multiple players on a show.
I like it. It's
right.
interesting.
Yep, makes it a little more interesting and fun.
Let's hear from you, Amber.
Hear from me about what? About the craziness that you just went through?
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I'm not all that surprised because you do tend to think outside the box and you do tend to think critically. And unfortunately, add that to the fact that you are white and male and you are having a very hard time in life right now because if you're a white and male especially, you're not okay. You're bad. And then if you start thinking outside the box and standing up for things like, a video that may have a Nazi symbol in it, oh man, you are just the worst of the worst. So
Yeah.
I'm not overly surprised, but I am really sad that you had to deal with this.
Yeah. It's been a trial, that's for sure. But luckily, I don't know, this really humorous epiphany that I had has kind of made the whole thing it's gone from this horribly stressful thing to just this absurd joke.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it landed out okay for you and not in a mess, complete mess, which is not usually
in a sense.
What?
I almost wish that I didn't win and that I was suspended or whatever, because then I could make a giant stink of it, if I wanted to absolutely torture myself.
Yeah, well, there's no point in torturing yourself, I mean, why go through that kind of grief?
Well, you could actually still make a giant stink of it, and you could, if you wanted, you could just quit as a complete up yours and then go make a huge stink of it. But unfortunately, not many people will listen to you.
I did actually. I sent an email to Rebel News.
Oh, good.
Oh, good. Maybe they'll pick it up. They may or may not pick it up, so you'll find out.
You didn't get kicked out, so they may or may not pick it up. But the whole idea, they may actually pick it up just because of how it happened and what happened.
Yeah, right now, Rebel News is pretty tied up with what our government's doing to the people and stripping away our rights in many areas. They're pretty tied up. I'd say 90% of their news coverage right now deals with the illegal lockdowns, the illegal tickets, and the cops abusing their power and
COVID hotels.
The COVID hotels, yes, the COVID hotels in Canada, yes, all of that stuff there.
Oh, I don't know if it's one of their own or if it's just a reporter, but One of the reporters got arrested just for being a reporter.
The guy in Australia.
Yeah, he got arrested just for being a reporter.
Yeah,
he had everything he needed and everything like that. Everything was legal, but they arrested him anyway.
Yeah, they posted another video on. He got let out about 45 minutes later. They put him in the back of the van. They drove him out to the countryside. They kicked him out and said, "See ya."
Really?
Yeah, I can't wait to see that report.
Bloody hell!
You know, it's like, and and that's what they did with him. They didn't take him in. It's like, okay, so that'll be interesting. But I caught that on one of their further reports. So yeah, that'll be quite interesting here. So yeah, the Rona's gonna get you. Although, here is one of the first things we got out of here, and this came from CTV News of all places. It's an article too, I believe. Let's get this loaded right up. And that Fauci says it's all going to return to some degree of normality at the same time as Canada. So U.S. and Canada are going to come together and return to normality, according to Fauci.
Canada and the U.S. are going to come together to return to normality. What does that mean? We're going to be back at each other's throats?
No. Fauci, Dr. Fauci, no masks, now telling you wear 2 masks.
I thought it was 3.
Oh, I heard
the whole
2.
Swiss cheese thing.
I heard 2. I heard 2 today. But I heard 2. Dr. Fauci said wear 2 masks today or sometime. So
that was after he said not to wear any masks, back in April.
Back in April, no masks. And all of a sudden we need masks, and now we need 2 masks. Anyway, Fauci says the U.S. will likely return to some degree of normality at the same time as Canada. This is COVID news. So as the United States returns to normality, Canada will return to normality. Although, we've been rather fortunate here in our province where we haven't hit the crazy kind of lockdowns that the other provinces has had. I mean, even Alberta locked down all their restaurants. In BC, our restaurants, you can still go out to a restaurant here. It's not overly super comfortable, but it's still nice. You only got to wear your mask now as you walk from the door to your table because the Rona can only attack you between the time you walk in the door and the time you sit down at the table and take that mask off. The Rona won't touch you while you're sitting at the table. It's never going to hurt you there. It's mostly.
Hey, Dad, going to interrupt you for a sec.
Yep.
Mr. Friendly needs to get going pretty quick here,
okay.
But he just wanted to have a quick say before he left.
Have your big say there. I didn't know you were taking off. I thought you were going to have fun with some more of the show. Go ahead, Mr. Friendly.
Yeah, I've got an appointment. But no, I really appreciate you letting me come on here and talk. This has been an interesting thing, and it's good to share it.
Yeah. It'll be an interesting story if it gets out there.
So I don't know if your viewers know about me, probably not. But I'm a local author in Victoria, and my blog is at hmfriendly.wordpress.com if you wanted to check it out.
Good. Get me the URL or email me the URL. I'll make sure I stick it in the show notes.
I'll make sure you get it.
Okay.
Put it in.
Go check him out. Some of his stories are interesting, folks. I've read a few of his short stories. They're actually not that bad.
Yeah, he's a pretty awesome writer.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate being on the show here.
Thanks a lot for joining us.
Have fun.
It was lots of fun. A little bit enlightening.
All right, talk to you later.
Bye. That was actually quite interesting.
Yeah.
It was an interesting bit for what he went through. I do love the Trump card. The Trump card was, I never even thought about that. So he managed to get a really intelligent advocate who helped him play them at their own game. That's the only way you can beat them now is you have to play their game. Which, if you're a person with high honor, it's really kind of painful to do that when you have high honor. And if you're an honorable person, playing those games is so hard to do. You find it difficult to think in that realm.
Like me.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. If you got high honor, you have a tough time playing the game by their rules.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only way you can beat them right now is playing it by their rules. And it turns out I got cottonmouth. Yum yum.
Fun.
Haven't had that. I always get it whenever I smoke a little. It's one of the drawbacks of this stuff. All right. So we've lost our fourth person, but that was nice for a while there. We had a fourth person. At any rate,
We had a fourth person?
yeah,
Cool.
we had four for a while. So let's continue on here and go down the Rona gonna get you mode. What was that? Oh, that was something hanging up.
That was him logging off.
Yeah, okay, that was hanging off the thing. So
Yeah.
the Rona is only going to get you and learn your things, but it sounds like I didn't capture some articles on the changes that are suddenly occurring in the U.S. ever since they've stuck Biden in office with the Rona. The lockdowns are coming off of places in California, Wisconsin, Detroit, Minnesota, New York, all the democratically held areas where they were wielding the stick of doom to beat on people. Not so much anymore. It's lightening up magically. The world's getting better for them. It's like magic. Here's one here. All good now. Is it this one? Yeah, here you go. It's like magic.
No, not that one.
This one. It's like magic. All lockdowns are ending all over America just days after Biden's inauguration. Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, we kind of saw that one coming, didn't we?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I definitely predicted that. I don't know if I managed to express that here. But, of course, the devastation, the economic devastation from this is still going to be felt for a very long time. Hundreds of thousands of businesses and small businesses, restaurants, have all gone under. They closed their doors for good. There were famous restaurants that were lost during these lockdowns. Restaurants that had been around for 100 years had to close their doors permanently.
That is very, very sad.
There's one or two of them. One was like 100 years in business. There was this really expensive steakhouse in New York that had been around for 40, 50, 60 years. They had to go on. They had to close. They went under. They had to close for good. They can't reopen again.
Oh, man.
And I imagine partly if they're an expensive steakhouse, they carry some expensive beef that has a limited shelf life. They have.
Which means they couldn't just chuck it in the freezer and save it for later.
Nope. It's dry aged beef. It's like I've never had dry aged beef at one of these restaurants, but that's where a steak costs like just a steak is $75. You got to have a lot of money to throw away to do that. Or you got to have one special treat that it is for, just so you can have it. But and since dry aged beef, and they've got dry aged coolers, and that beef has to be used within a certain period of time if it's dry aging, or it starts to go rotten. So there's a process to dry aging beef without poisoning people, and I don't know it. So, but at any rate, it was a shame to see restaurants like that close. And that was going to happen. The one fortunate thing here, what they did, they closed our restaurants for about a month and a half here, and then they let them open back up with restrictions of 30 or 40% capacity, distance tables, cleanliness, everything else. Then they added the masks in, so you can still go out and eat and enjoy yourself. You can even go out to a bar or two. I think some bars are open too, but they probably aren't that busy. So, but at any rate, it's just that this is what's happening, and we got magical stuff working. To add to it, a quarter of all Canadians do not want the COVID-19 vaccine, which I can't blame them. I fall in that one quarter. I don't want that thing.
No, I don't want that anywhere near me or my children. No way.
This is just where we're at, folks. I thought I'd pop a little bit of that information into the fun for this evening. Where else do we want to go? Do we want to go to the little links that you'd brought to us there?
Sure, but first I just wanted to say we need our own version of a red book for our own predictions that we got.
Okay. Well, then I'll have to add it. Well, I can't put it under the redbookna domain. Maybe I'll create Redbook at the Rogues Tavern. I'll just bring the same program over that I use for the No Agenda Redbook.
We need to figure out a name for it though, because we can't just call it the Red Book. We got to call it our own thing. I mean, what did sheriffs have, or rogues? What they have?
The oracles of the tavern. The tavern oracles.
There we go. Tavern Oracles. I like
We'll
that.
call it the Tavern Oracles. Let me think. We need to add something in here in the show notes, and we'll add it. Call it Tavern Oracles. That way, I don't forget the name.
Okay, well, I have something I want to add to the Tavern Oracles. This is our first thing.
Oh, well, hang on a sec. I'll have to start a separate note just for the, actually, there's one in there called Untitled Note.
Okay.
You click on that and you add your stuff there.
Okay.
So that way it gets written down, but tell us what it is that you want to put in.
I want to say that by the end of summer, the whole COVID experience is going to be gone. And we're going to be dealing with something entirely different. Same kind of fear, same kind of restrictions, but something entirely different from COVID. Because the COVID thing is running out of steam. And it's causing more strife than it is anything else. And the more strife it causes, the more people think. The more people think, the more they fight. So we don't want the peons all fighting because there's too many peons. They'll overcome the ones that think they're in power.
They might turn their anger somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. So my thing is that they are going to, we're not going to have anything anymore. We're going to end up having no more COVID by the end of summer.
Okay. Yeah, and you're right. They'll switch to something else, and you got to remember it's not just going to happen. You got to remember, you got to say that it's going to dominate the mainstream narrative, and then what else has got to be added in there is all of the other alt tech, alt medias are going to have to pop in their says about what the truth is on it. So you're going to have, bringing in the truth, but only through the alt tech media, and then the mainstream media pushing a narrative of whatever they need to bring in to keep the population scared and under controls. Because we gave the government so much power this time, and never in the history of mankind has government ever willingly given up any powers that have been given to them by its populace.
That is so true. Look at what happened after 9/11.
Yeah. All of that stuff was supposed to be temporary. I'm pretty sure up until where you couldn't travel to the airports, you were still showing up at airports, especially in the States, and having to take off your shoes. Or the constant inspections and the proven to be useless checks at the airport, time and time again, when they've done the security checks, and they've still managed to sneak in bombs, knives, and everything else. And there's ways. I caught something on a video the other day. It's like if you go through those scanning machines, there's ways to hide weapons on your body, and the scanning machine will never see them.
That is very interesting.
Yeah, and so there's all kinds of interesting stuff going on there. So okay, so yeah, by the summertime, I expect it by summertime too, as was predicted on. Was it No Agenda? I think they predicted that. They predicted it on Easter is when the United States will open up fully. They'll suddenly
on Easter.
Yeah, Easter Day. They'll open up by Easter.
I'm not sure about that because they have this whole thing against churches.
No. You got to remember, Biden's a Catholic. They talk about him being a Catholic. He's a God-fearing man. You got to remember, as soon as they get into president, they have to be God-fearing men. God bless America. Pretend to go to church. Show up there. They all do it. All but Obama. Obama didn't do it.
Okay. No, he had his own church.
He did. Did he actually go to a church?
I
don't remember.
He went to his own church.
I don't remember him ever saying "God bless America."
No, because he was Muslim, I think, and he didn't say "God bless America." He actually said something else, but it was the same thing, only his religion's version.
He wasn't catering to the Christian population.
Yeah.
So, but Biden is, and Biden is a Catholic. So.
Well, I don't think it'll be Easter. I honestly think they're going to choose probably an equinox or something.
Well, Easter is usually somewhere around the equinox. It's Easter. Easter's an old pagan holiday anyway.
But I'm thinking more in the heat, because once they're in the heat, then they can actually use some form of logic.
March 21st is the equinox. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, March 21st, the equinox. Easter, I believe, is after March 21st, on April 4th this year.
Okay, well maybe then.
Yeah. So the other thing is they'll be able to do something and say, see, we got you here and Trump couldn't get you open by Easter last year. Because remember, if you go back to the
Huh.
beginning of it, Trump was going to say it'll all be done, we'll all be open up by Easter, and that's when they started locking us down further.
Yeah. Irritatingly so.
Mhm.
I love how this 2-week long lockdown has lasted.
Yeah, it's now up to 46 weeks, I believe.
I think so.
I've been keeping track on our other show, so
Almost a full year.
almost a full year. Middle of February, sometime it should be a full year. Middle to the end of February. No, we didn't get our full lockdown till March. Spring break for kids. Kids' spring break was when we got our full lockdown last year.
Yeah, that's right.
Because it started the day after spring break.
Yeah, it's only a couple months away. So,
Mhm.
wow, yeah, almost a full year.
Yep.
Jeez.
Almost a full
It's
year.
the
for
longest
us.
2 weeks ever.
Longest 2 weeks in the history of man. So yeah, that's the insanity of it all. I do have one video here for Insanity Gets Worse. I wonder what this one is. I can't remember. I need to make notes with these. Oh, we already played this one. This one started out the show. This was the everything happening. Okay. All right. Now that I know. All right. So also quick talk, everyone talk about, don't forget the grand solar minimum is here. We're just in the beginning of it. Holy shit, lockdowns get worse by the year 2022. They need to find a way to do that, but they're gonna have to still gonna fight the population. All right. Let's see here. What's up in space? We've managed to hit 23 sunspots so far this year. They've had sunspots for the last several days. Last couple of weeks, we've had at least one sunspot. But sunspots are dying off again. So we're still there. We've had a couple of G-class geomagnetic storms. We'll get my enunciations working here much better.
Just make some funny noises. That seems to help my younger one.
Well, whatever works. So we're not at a continuous stretch right now of spotless days, but the year is still kind of early, so we'll see how it goes. We are supposed to be going into the increase in sunspot activity for the next couple of years. We're at the bottom end, climbing out of a minimum, which happens every about 11 years with the sun. So the minimums and the maximums, and you can almost, if you pay attention to it, you can pretty much predict the weather, which is the secret of the Farmer's Almanac. The secret that they have held secret for over 100 years. They have a secret formula for predicting the weather years in advance, and being, I think, over the last 100 years, they've had an 85% accuracy rate.
Which is amazing considering our local people can't even get a 50% accuracy rate.
And they're only predicting a few days out.
Yeah.
And they got satellites. They got satellites and wind detectors and everything else. And, but yeah, and they, one of their major chunks of their formula was in the interview. He said that the founder did one time, and he said, I do have a formula. And of course, one of the factors is the solar cycles of the sun. It's
Which makes a lot of sense. I'm pretty sure it's how we were able to keep our crops going back in the day.
Yeah, well, that's the way we always had to grow. We had to know exactly when spring solstice was so we could get the planting in, because you need to plant certain crops no later than a month after spring solstice. Some of them you want a month before spring solstice. Some of them you want right around spring solstice. Or equinox, not solstice, equinox. Spring equinox. Equinox in the spring and fall, solstice in the summer and winter. All right, so we've already rambled off about the Rona gonna get you. I have an article here for aliens and other space stuff.
Oh, cool.
Everybody loves aliens. Let's see what we got. This is from Popular Mechanics. And according to them, there's aliens. The aliens used to be in our galaxy, but they killed themselves off. Oh, well, that sucks.
Yes, I've read this one. I think I tried to bring it up a while back in an earlier show, but we weren't organized enough yet.
Yeah. According to them, the reason we've never observed an extraterrestrial living thing or uncovered any evidence for extinct ones, as we peer further into our corner of the universe using more and more powerful telescopes, blah, 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 we'll continue to hold hope we find. But there's a problem with the line of... hang on a second. This is a Fermi paradox. The universe is unfathomably gigantic, but so far we've never seen any sign that there's intelligent life anywhere. We've never observed living, blah, blah, blah. We further appeal, but there's a problem with, oh, okay, I understand. If I read it all. Civilization that we'd seen from it for, let alone would have built something like the Dyson Sphere. Why aren't they sending telescopes? I love all these Star Trek things that have come into science parlance now. You know,
Well, a lot of things from Star Trek have become reality. So.
Well, there's that too. Although, you know, the only thing that'll change the world will be when we have replicators.
Yes. Although replicators cannot make a proper Earl Grey, apparently.
Yeah, well.
Make great booze, apparently, though.
Oh, well, and booze is important, no matter what century you're in.
Exactly.
All right, well, interesting article basically saying that the reason they don't exist is because they ran themselves extinct.
Yeah, or like they destroyed themselves because they had their own wars and stuff.
Yeah, well, we're on the verge of doing that ourselves, so I can sort of comprehend that one.
Yeah, we kind of been on the verge of doing that ourselves multiple times over. We keep rebuilding, though.
Well,
we keep coming back, and if we can keep coming back, I'm sure other species can too.
Yeah, well, the humans have done that. Yes, the humans, we've managed to come back from numerous extinction level events in time. You know, my personal belief system is this is the 7th time we've been at this level of technological development where we had worldwide communications. Because that'd be no doubt. The fact that we have worldwide communications is the sign of advanced technology. Because, you know, humans have been on every part of this planet for the last at least 5,000 years, 6,000 years that we know of. And we've documented them on every part of the globe in various populations or estimated populations. So, but they didn't have worldwide communications in the last 6,000 years.
You know, anybody who's interested in learning more about that particular belief, if you want to learn about it, go check out Gaia's Ancient Civilizations. They have quite a few episodes up for free right now, trying to get more people in.
Mm-hmm.
But their ancient civilizations basically prove exactly what you said with extreme science, geology, all kinds of amazing stuff. It's really cool. So,
yeah, and worldwide communication. You know, and who knows, maybe even sometime in the past at the advanced level, we managed to actually cooperate as a world and accomplish great things before some catastrophe came along, either one we induced or one that was induced from outer space. I mean, the grand solar minimum is going to be a catastrophe. It's going to lower the population on the planet with starvation and other problems. Because we're
in a minor one right now.
Yeah, no, we're going. Well, we're in the minor part of a major one.
Okay.
Okay, what happens is this is going to last for 30 years from now until 2050 is when we will come out of the grand. What are they calling this one? The Grand Marauder Minimum. Miranda, I don't know. I think they're calling the Miranda minimum was the 1800 or 1600 one. This one here, I can't remember what it's being called, but it's still a grand solar minimum. What a grand solar minimum means is when the sun goes into its maximums, they're very low. They're very weak. They're a very weak pattern. You don't get as much strong sun as you should do. Another thing that's happening to the Earth is we've been changing on our axis as we do, because our axis we wobble on our axis, and we also change in our orbit around the sun as we wobble on that axis. And one of the orbit things that happens is that the northern hemisphere will pivot just a little bit, a couple of degrees, and we will no longer get the sun strength as strong as we did before. You know, in other words, the summer sun won't be as hot or as direct or as much energy. And it's a really interesting. I can't remember where I found that one. I don't have links to that, but that's one I caught some time ago, and it's always stuck in my head. But we end up with the grand solar minimum, and being the weaker, the minimums are deeper and the maximums are shallower. Meaning the overall pattern makes it colder. So right around 2030 to 2040, we should start to see the blisteringly cold winters that occurred in the 1600s in England and Europe that froze over rivers like the Thames, which still never freezes over to this day anymore, even during the colder times we had in the 50s and 70s.
Mhm.
You know, and I remember the 70s being cold. The 80s got pretty warm. The 90s were pretty chilly, and the 90s was a minimum. You know, throughout the 2000s, the last from 2000, about 2009 to 2019 or so, we were in a maximum. We were in a solar maximum, and it was a weaker maximum. And then we started under the minimum. Or were we in the minimum?
Okay, I thought we were heading into a minor solar minimum.
We were in the minimum. I got them backwards. Sorry, I got them backwards. The early 2000s were the minimum. The later 2000s were the maximum, or the early 2000s were the maximum. The late 90s, early 2000s were the maximum, and those were some really nice, gorgeous summers.
Yes, they were. I remember those summers.
Mid 2000s, late 2000s, 2008-9 till 2019 was we were gone down into a minimum, because now we're going into a maximum again.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can see the pattern there over on, you can see the pattern for the last few years of it over on spaceweather.com. And when you scroll down where it shows you the last 10 years or last 20, almost 20 years, 19 years of spotless days. 2006, 70 days of spots. 2007, 152. 2008, 268. 2009, 260. 2010, 51. 11, 2. 2012, we had 0 spotless days, continuous hot spots. Okay. 2014, 15, 16, 32 days of spotless days. Spotless days. 32 days, and you see it climbing back up from 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 of 208 spotless days of the minimum. Okay.
Wow.
That means, you know, there was like 2019 was the coldest one at 281 days of that year had 0 sunspots. That's over 3/4 of the year. You know, 77% of the year was spotless, not a single spot in the sky or in the sun, which meant there was very little energy being put out, which gave us a cold winter. If you go check the temperatures for 2019, we probably had some pretty cold. We had some pretty cold temperatures across the globe, and we also had some really horrible storms. You know, and
yeah, I almost got frostbite going out to shovel the drive one time last year.
Yeah,
that was nasty.
So, and right now we came into 2020 with 208 spotless days, which means it's dropping off again. 212, which means, you know, right now we're at 50-50. So we might get some energy from the sun. I have a tough time keeping.
Good time to start growing.
Yeah, I have a tough time keeping all that in my head sometimes. So
fair enough. I just heard it and it's already leaking out of my ears.
Yeah, well, you got to keep running it and running it and running it to keep it all together. Now I do have a brief video here, and I forget what it was. Oh, the Ice Age trigger accelerates. And this is an interesting piece I grabbed from Suspicious Observers. You know, the space weather news for January 26th. This is for today.
Good morning, folks. Today we've got a great slate of science to slide through and a look ahead as well. We'll also see the deadly weather from last night as we begin with our star over at spaceweathernews.com. The sun has some small active regions, small coronal holes, general unease within the corona, but no big solar flares or eruptions of filaments. There was a brief rise in the X-ray readings as the sunspot group on the north exploded into growth phase, just in time to get the heck off the Earth-facing half of the sun. We did have some solar wind fluctuations. The core portion of the coronal hole stream arrived at Earth and drove more intense streams, coupling and putting pressure on Earth's magnetic field, and we did get a brief geomagnetic storm yesterday afternoon. Red bar at the bottom. It is waning back now. We are pulling the radar next with lightning overlay from last night. The convergence line bringing strong storms ripped through Alabama a bit after sunset, and dropped either a tornado or a serious microburst on Birmingham and the surrounding area.
There you go. We'll leave it at that. So it's a good news report.
It is very informative.
Yeah, and it's all dealing with the weather we get from space, and they pull a lot of their information from spaceweathernews.com, which has got even more stuff about the sun, the coronal ejections, and what's happening here. And of course, it could be an ice age trigger for us. We don't know. We have no idea what this is going to bring us, but we do know the one thing it's going to bring us is a shortage in crops. And that shortage in crops is going to be felt across the globe. And so you need to grow your own, and you need to, if you can, stock up on wheat. If you can do better than that, or stock up on flour, but if you can do better than that, stock up on wheat seeds. Wheat seeds, if properly stored, can be stored for years, and that can produce the flour you need if you can get hold of wheat seeds. So at a reasonable price, because unfortunately it's been going up.
Yeah, just like everything else has to do with food.
Yeah, in the last year, I've seen the prices on everything go up anywhere from 10 to 20%. Except produce, fresh produce, because of course, fresh produce, it's really expensive for us up here now. And this is what this is what it used to be like 25 years ago for fresh produce in the winter. It used to cost us because it's all imported.
Okay.
It's all imported from California and Mexico, but it used to cost way more 20 years ago than it cost about like what costs now for it, which means it was super expensive back then because 20 years ago, if I go into the store with $100, I couldn't carry it all home in one arm. Now, if I go into the grocery store with $100, I'm lucky if I get 2 bags full of stuff.
Maybe 3.
Maybe 3, man, depending on what I bought. It's like $100 definitely doesn't buy what it used to buy, and even so much as 5 years ago. And people don't realize it. It's like, well, the same number of products, except you look at it, they've been using the hidden price increase for the last decade, and I really wish I documented it as I went along. My favorite was cheese. I remember when I used to buy 900 block of cheese for $7.95. Then one day it was an 800 gram block of cheese. Then one day it was a 750 gram. Now it's 700 grams. Some of them are 700 grams. Some of them have gone down to 600 grams for the same price.
In the store I go to for the cheese I've been buying, when we first started buying it, it's a lactose-free cheese. Mm-hmm. We kind of need that in our house.
Yeah.
So when I first started buying it, it was 750 grams for $8. Mm-hmm. No problem. It's lactose free. You get a little less. Now it's 450 grams for $8.
Yeah.
So it's like they've cut it in half.
Yeah. Did they keep the package approximately the same size?
Yeah, it's just that the brick is thinner, but it's just as wide.
Oh yeah.
And it looks like it's just as big, but it's thinner.
That's the illusion they've done.
Yeah.
It's like the block they kept the block approximately the same size. They just started shaving it thinner. And that's what they kept doing, was they've been shaving it thinner. And they do the same thing with, I've documented it on cans of soup.
And tuna.
Tuna is my favorite too. And it's the exact same size can, but now they just put less inside the can. And with cereal boxes are the same size, except now they put less cereal in them. And they do that with so many packaged things like that. They never change the size of their packaging because you're used to that size packaging. They've lowered the amount inside. They realize that the mass number of people aren't like me.
They don't notice.
Well, they don't notice because they don't do like I do. And every time I'm buying something, it's like, how much is this costing me per serving?
Yeah.
I'm always figuring out how much it's going to cost me per serving for my food. And so I'm always doing the math on splitting it out, like, okay, 700 grams, 795, 4 people, we're going to get this much out of it. Yeah, okay, it's going to cost me about per serving on it. It's going to cost me about 35 cents, 40 cents, give or take, whatever it is, whatever the servings are for. So I'm
so glad you taught me that. I've taught my kids that, and they've actually found better deals than I initially see.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's such an important thing. It's like most people, my mom taught me how to shop. I'd go shopping with her. So it's being passed down the line. I need to get myself a little something to drink. I'm going to pop us into a little bit of music while I go grab something to drink.
All right.
If Jesus takes me far away, if he gives me a halo, if Jesus calls for me today, I got bad news for the angels. think I am? I get drunk just because I can. I get loud and I act crazy. Most women call me lazy. I'm not the kind that they would understand. Ladies say I'm the king of one night stands. They get mad when I kiss and tell. No, I do not like to dance. Don't cuddle up or make romance. Most times I just like to be by myself. If Jesus takes me far away, if he gives me a halo, if Jesus calls for me today, I got bad news for the angels. I know me and Jesus are cool, and we will howl at the moon when I've had a little too much to drink. I can better express myself with spirits on that top shelf, and I don't care what anybody thinks. I probably am a selfish guy, and I don't care why you cry. You better not let my new shirt get wet. No, I do not want your number. Don't want to meet your mother. Why can't we just hang out with no regrets? If Jesus takes me far away, so far away, if he gives me a halo, if Jesus calls for me today, I got bad news for the angels. Some bad, bad news for the angels. I'm bad, bad news for the angels.
Absolutely. Not very many people. They were all surprised to hear Leonard Nimoy's video, which is all over YouTube for a while.
Yeah.
Leonard Nimoy describing the coming ice age.
Oh, so not many people remember that, eh?
No, most people don't remember that. They don't remember that.
I remember being freaked out and confused because in the same lesson that the teacher was teaching us how we were going to be essentially live in an ice age by the 2030s.
Yep.
We were also going to be sucked into the sun as a planet.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, if we're going to be an ice ball, why are we going to get sucked into the sun? Wouldn't we burn up before we get sucked into the sun? So yeah, I was really confused and kind of freaked out when I was in grade 2.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but if we lose the sun blows out, we won't know it for 7 minutes, and by the time that 7 minutes is up, we're done.
Yep.
Although there's a really interesting video I discovered on YouTube one time. They have to hunt for it. It's a short movie someone did. You still there?
I'm still here. I'm listening to you.
Okay. Anyway, it's a short movie someone did, and what they did was they did a theory of what if our sun just went out and still continued to provide us with the gravity to keep the Earth in the same orbit, and we just no longer had sunlight. And it was a really interesting thing about the last few moments before the sun goes out, the 7 minutes or something, it's 6 minutes, whatever the length of time it is, the speed of light from the sun traveling to us. And it's about that moment when the sun goes out and those last 6 minutes of daylight on the Earth. And it's a really interesting movie.
That would also probably freak me out a little bit.
Yeah. It was really kind of cool. I'd have to find that again sometime because it was. I don't even know how it ended up in my algorithm when I was watching videos, and then one time it was something. Oh, what's this? And go see what it was. So here we go. Let's play a couple of clips out of the No Agenda thing. This is one of my favorites from the No Agenda show this last week. It's
I didn't catch the most recent show.
Oh well, you'll love this when it finally comes up.
The Senate will conduct a trial of the impeachment of Donald Trump. It will be a full trial. It will be a fair trial. But make no mistake, there will be a trial, and when that trial ends, senators will have to decide if they believe Donald John Trump incited the insurrection against the United States.
Did you catch it?
Incited the erection?
Yes, incited the erection, Matt. Schumer was all hard there, buddy.
That's awesome.
There's another one here. He did. I wish he'd put them in order of use in their show notes. But there was another one too of another news organization going on about the erection in Washington D.C.
Wow, that is kind of entertaining.
Yeah, that's the new gaffe that seemed to be popping up.
Donald John Trump incited the erection.
Oh, I'm going to keep that clip. He clipped it right out for us. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Where is it? Yeah, it was such an interesting show this week because, the COVID stuff's winding down for them. It's moved to their second block.
Mm-hmm.
So it's winding down for them, considering it's been in their first block for, 10 months? 10 months, I think. Ever since the beginning, it was their first block of news. Which, their sanity helped everyone else's sanity, which their sanity helped eliminate my insanity that briefly spurred up at the initial.
Yes, they have definitely helped to keep my amygdala small.
Yes. Maybe one day we'll do that for other folks. We'll start deconstructing other things out there that they don't bother deconstructing. We'll help perpetuate the cycle of keeping the amygdala small.
What we need to do is we need to start getting more information directly from Canada so we can start doing more of a Canadian-based one.
That's what I've been doing. I've been digging up that. In fact, I've dug up a couple of other Canadian financial news things. I'm trying to, it's really hard to dig any information. I'm just going to have to suck it up and start pulling down CBC, Global, and everyone else. Because that's what most people watch, and
yeah,
it'll be a sacrifice, but I'll do that for the show. I'll sacrifice for the show to bring it into the show that we can start getting more of a Canadian bent to it. But somebody has to go through all this crap. May I even have to watch some of the stuff from Parliament on C-SPAN.
Oh, geez.
Actually, what's really interesting to watch in Parliament is question hour.
Question hour.
Yeah. Question time. I think it's called Question Time in during the parliamentary sessions. Every so many days or something during sessions, they get like an hour for question time, and they can ask any question they want of any minister sitting there, and they can say anything, even slanderous stuff, because they're protected because it's on the floor of Parliament.
I wonder how long that'll last for.
Oh, it's been hundreds of years since Parliament started.
No, how much?
Oh,
how much longer?
How much
it'll
longer?
last for?
Oh, I don't know, but one of the things that happens is True Idiot is obviously the target of these questions more often than not, and he just sort of shines them off, doesn't even answer, or he gives a non-answer answer.
It's sad that Rebel News can't get in there, man.
It's because they don't want to have anyone that's going to ask the hard questions in there.
Yep.
They deny that they're a media organization. It's like, what defines a media organization? Everybody's a media organization if they want to make news reporting their life. Or
sure,
their career.
Actually.
There's no license for it, which they're trying to do. They're trying to create a reporter's license. But see, the problem is freedom of press or freedom of expression, or our form of freedom of speech means reporters have the right to put this information out. And anybody
you have to get all kinds of pieces of paper with, like, I don't know what they're called anymore right now, but the little piece of paper you get from colleges and universities stating that you learned this in order to get a job as a reporter.
A journalism degree? No, you don't.
No?
That's how all of these big M5M organizations work. They pretend, well, we need a college degree from you to prove you actually went to school. And it's like, you can become a reporter without it. You might not get hired at the M5M places, but you can create your own thing. Think about it. I was a newspaper publisher once.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I published a newspaper. I was a reporter. I didn't need anything for that. I was instantly media because I was publishing a newspaper. And media now, you don't need to print a newspaper. You can just publish a blog or a website or create a news channel. There's numerous reporters out there, individuals doing this stuff, like not True North. What was his name? I can't remember his name. He got booted off of YouTube, and then he was back, and then he's gone again. And I watch him over on BitChute. I can't remember his name right now, but he's the one that he reported from Vancouver, and he was one of the first reporters reporting on the BLM protests, which police were ignoring and didn't bother with, and now they're arresting people who are just protesting the lockdowns. It's like, yeah, go figure. You see which one's popular with the politicians, but anyone can be a reporter.
Okay, well, I didn't know that. I thought you had to have the degrees and everything.
No. No, there's only a couple of industries that are regulated to the point like that. One of them is doctors, nurses, lawyers,
Mechanics,
architects, mechanics. Anyone can be a mechanic. You don't have to go
no,
to school.
you need to have your basic mechanics degree in order to be legally hired. Because if you're hired without one, then the company can be destroyed.
Then they've changed that in the last 15 years. Because when I left when I left the industry, I could hire anyone off the street, train them, and say they are now my apprentice. And as my apprentice, in 4 years' time, under my tutelage, they didn't even have to go to school. Oh no, they had to go to school once a year for testing, because you had to be tested at certain levels of stuff. But you weren't required to learn something in college before you could work. You didn't have to get anything initial aside from a journeyman mechanic willing to take you as an apprentice, because I had 2 apprentices.
Yeah, see, the way it works now is you have to take the lowest level of college, then you can become an apprentice. Or if you become apprentice, you have to go within the first 6 months of becoming an apprentice and get your level. And you aren't allowed to just learn at work and then go and get tested. You have to learn at work, then go to school separately for it's the full 8 months for the first level, and then it's 6 or 8 weeks for every other level. But you have to be there instead of at work. So you can work and go to school, or you can just go to school. But you have to go to the school and learn at the school in order to get the next level.
Yeah, okay. So they've changed that in the last 15 years.
Yeah, it's the same thing with welding.
So it's just another scam to get people's money and to keep people working.
Yep.
Okay. Well, see, this is what happens when you have too much government. They stick themselves in
everywhere.
Everywhere. They stick themselves in everywhere and create more and more unnecessary regulations. It's like one of the things, it hit me today. It was a thought that hit me today, because you hear people oftentimes bring up the Star Trek world, the utopia it's going to bring, everything that they go about doing after World War III. The one thing that suddenly hit me is the guy in there, the guy who created the first warp engine for the human race. I can't remember his name. The Cochrane guy, which when he's met, they introduced him in a Star Trek Next Generation movie. It turns out he's a highly intelligent individual, but he's a belligerent asshole drunk. And he spends most of his time drunk. And if they could have put it in there, he'd have probably been a stoner to boot. He just seemed like the type of guy that'd be smoking and drinking. Mm-hmm. And yet he's working on this rocket in a shed, basically right next to the bar, right nearby the bar there. And they scrounged around for all the materials. And the one thing they forget to tell you in this, he accomplished all that without any government oversight, because there was no government left at that point in time. At that point in their history, the governments had all been destroyed. It was just the people starting to come back together to rebuild after the devastation of World War III, the Third World Nuclear War that was predicted in the Star Trek universe. So what it showed in that is that government regulation stifles everything.
Yes.
It prevents ingenuity of people going, I've got a better idea, and they start moving along, and the government goes, hey, you need a permit to that. No, you need another permit. Oh, you need another permit. Hey, we need more money for you. It's like, I don't have money. Well, you can't do anything further until you get more money. You know? So, but it was something I don't know why it occurred to me today. It was just something out of the blue. I was thinking of something else. I caught something on Star Trek and I'm like, yeah, that's interesting. And then all of a sudden I thought, he did all that without government oversight. There was no government oversight to stop him from creating his own rocket ship that he personally launched without NASA's approval into the Earth's orbit, and then threw out his jet engines and poof, warped into warp speed and caught the attentions of the Vulcans. So, who just happened to be passing by Pluto at the time.
Of course, just happened to be there.
In the great wide universe, they were just wandering right by.
Makes sense.
No, but I do like that kind of thing. Tim Pool. What, in grade 2? Wasn't it Tim Pool?
No, he was asking about something, but I couldn't quite figure out what he was asking about, and then I forgot.
Oh, well, it's funny. It's like I'm reading the messages here, and it says, "What was it, Tim Pool?" I'm like, well, okay, where did Tim Pool come into this? I mean, the pool boy gets more than enough attention. I don't need to quote from him. The problem with him, I like the information he puts out. The problem is it takes him too long to get to it.
Yeah, he's a little whiny.
It's a whiny. It's not just whiny. He is like he wanders worse than I do. When he's actually trying to stick with a complete storyline, put out some information, and he gets almost on it and he wanders off track. It's like, dude, smack yourself back on track for a minute.
I'm gonna switch track on you.
Yeah.
There's a video from Mr. Obvious, and it's actually a pretty important one. It's about the new, not mandate, but it's a new thing that they're putting out in the U.S. that is going to completely screw everything, every vote in the future.
Democrats are planning to introduce a bill that will allow them to win every single election from now on, forever. What if I told you that Democrats are planning to introduce a bill that will allow them to win all elections from now on, forever? The first bill of 2021. This would be really bad news for people who believe in free speech or low taxes, conservatives, liberals, moderates, everybody really, and would be really bad for America's future. What if I told you that bill was happening right now? Because it is. Hello everyone, this is Mr. Obvious, and today on the internet, we're going to Democrats' first bill of 2021 is to lock in fraudulent election maneuvers and steal elections in perpetuity. Now, we're not talking about fraud in the sense of past elections.
All right, we'll wander on. He's going to take a few minutes to get to the point.
Yeah, he essentially, every time that you start one of his videos, he'll essentially tell you what the whole video is about right in the beginning. Yeah. And what he does is he goes through at least 12 of the different things that they are now mandating in this bill. Bill is the word I was trying to remember. And it's actually kind of scary, quite a few of them. Not cool. And I figured this would be an important one for people to actually look at. I've heard it on a few different places, but this one is my favorite.
I caught one story on this myself today. Americans should be petrified of this. They should be.
Oh, yeah.
But the vast majority of aren't going to be. Oh, it'll be so much easier. The next thing you know, they'll want online voting, which is, utterly, absolutely so secure and impossible to hack and change.
Internet-only registration, as well as a mandated early voting registration, which you have no option but to vote, as well as you must vote early, which... makes no sense to me.
No, that makes no sense. I mean, there is one country that has mandatory voting. It's illegal. It's illegal to not vote when you live in Australia. You must go vote in Australia. Yeah, it's written into their law.
So if you just kind of forget that day, you can be sued or
you can be fined,
arrested.
Yeah, you can be fined or arrested or something. I don't know what the penalty is, but it is mandated in their law to vote.
Huh, kind of like taxes.
Yeah, well. Taxes never used to be. Taxes in the United States, I don't know about Canada, but in the United States, taxes have only been there since 1913. Previous to that, they had no income tax.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting how they managed to build the country up to the early 20th century without any taxes. and remain one of the richest countries in the world at the time, and have buying power galore. But since 1918, the buying power of the dollar has dropped down to about 3 cents.
Huh.
Taxes is hidden theft. It's the money to pay for the debt. The money they collect in taxes doesn't even cover the debt or the interest on the debt that's owed. Although no one really knows who the debt is owed to. It's just owed, and it's like, where did the debt come from? Well, nobody knows where the debt came from either. It's just there. It's like,
I thought it came from the banks.
It doesn't come from the banks. It comes from the central bank. Central banks are privately owned.
Oh, okay.
Even the Federal Reserve in the States is anything but federal. It's a privately owned institution. And what happens is the United States goes, well, we need $100,000, or let's say they needed $100,000 for simplicity. We need $100,000. Well, we own the Treasury. Why can't we just issue $100,000? No, we can't do that. What we need to do is we need to go over to the Federal Reserve, and we got to ask them to create a bond for $100,000, and we'll loan that $100,000 to them. They'll give us, we'll create a bond. We'll sell it to the Federal Reserve for $100,000, and they'll loan that $100,000 to them. And now we got to pay that back, that $100,000 to the Federal Reserve, and it only costs us $150,000.
You just kind of confused my brain.
Yeah, well, that's exactly how it works. It is meant to be confusing. Here, I'll put it in simplify. I did screw it up a little bit. What happens when money is created, and this goes for every country that has a central bank, the money supply should be controlled and created by the government itself. Simply for the fact that here's how it goes. Okay, you've got the central bank. Supposedly, they have all the money. Nobody knows where they got the money, but they have all the money. But the government needs money. Say they need $100,000. They go, okay, we need $100,000. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a bond or a security note. That's what a bond is. It's like a mortgage. Okay, we're going to create a bond. And this bond is worth $100,000. Well, now we need someone to give us $100,000 cash for this. Oh, let's take it over to the central bank. We'll give it to them. They'll give us $100,000 cash. Now, they own that bond, which is now debt, but we have to pay back that debt, and they're going to charge us, for simplicity's sake, 25% interest, which is going to cost us $125,000 to pay back. So we now got $100,000, but we're going to need $125,000. Where are we going to get $25,000? Oh, I know. Let's tax the citizens. We'll take $25,000 from them.
It'd be smart just to make the money.
What's that?
Wouldn't it be smart just to print the money?
Yes, it would. It'd be smarter for the government to do the money to begin with, because that's where the money comes from. And all money in government originates from the producers, the citizens, the people who produce. There's no money without production. You have to produce something so that something is of value to someone else, that they will either give you something of value back, meaning another product, or in the case of the world right now with fiat currency, before fiat currencies, they used to give you back little bits of metal, usually silver and gold. But in some places, what they gave you was pearls or gems or shells or rocks, or any item that is a scarce supply can be used for money. That is the biggest key for what money is, or a transfer of value, is something that is in scarce supply and something that can be set to a standard weight or ratio for people.
Here's a question. Can a country claim bankruptcy?
Yeah, many countries will claim bankruptcy.
So if they claim bankruptcy, does that clear their debt?
No, that's the difference.
What does it do?
I don't know exactly what happens with their debt, but it lives on in perpetuity.
Okay, so what is the reason, do you think, for the countries currently destroying their producers?
I have no idea.
I wonder, what do they get out of this?
Nobody. Well, what they get, okay, one of the things that happens is the reason why disasters like this are created is to cause markets to crash in an area where someone with lots of money and cash stacked up can buy stuff up. They get power is what they get out of it. In the end, they get power. In the end, it all boils down to power.
Seems like short-term power to me.
That's all right. That's all they think. They don't think in long-term on this aspect. The people that think in long-term, we barely even know they exist. as humans.
Yeah.
You have to dig for information on the people who are really powerful and the people who are truly rich on this globe. Everyone thinks Jeff Bezos is the richest man in the world. He's probably somewhere at the bottom of the heap of rich people. If you throw in the people who have all the real money and the power, the people who meet at the drinking clubs, I can't remember, the elite class clubs across the globe, those families there, you only hear about them when reporters are trying to report on their secret meetings, and then they're quickly tossed aside. They never make it to the mainstream media. Those people keep themselves out of the way. They're what's known as the kingmakers.
Yes.
Because
always better to be a kingmaker.
Yeah, it's because the kingmaker gets to live in the shadows, enjoy their life, be 10 times more evil than the king himself. And when the people get upset, they take the king's head off, and the kingmaker just creates a new king and continues their life.
Yep.
Yeah. Nobody wanted being the king is stupid. Being the kingmaker is much better deal. You can stay in the shadows. Nobody knows who you are. If they recognize you, you just sort of move along like a gray man. So
there was one more link I wanted to talk about, which was a link that was sent to me from my kid. She sent it to me a bit ago, and it's Fauci talking on game theory. I don't know if you know game theory.
I do. Some of it.
Yeah, game theory is pretty geared towards towards teenagers.
Yeah.
Is really what it's geared towards. And they called in Fauci, and I watched it, and I was just like, wow, it kind of melted my brain, because Fauci is sitting there and preaching to the kids.
Yeah.
All this stuff, and it's like, it bothers me a lot, honestly, seeing the kind of BS that is spatted on M5M now being spatted on the channels specifically geared towards the kids.
Yep.
Oh, that was another thing that was in that bill. Lowering the age of voting to 16.
Oh, shit. Really? I didn't catch that. That's fucking stupid.
Yes. That was another thing that really bothered me.
It's bad enough when they lowered it to 18.
Yeah, so now they're going to lower it to 16, and they're going to make voting mandatory. That's going to be a bad mixture.
That'll be a bad mixture. 16-year-olds are intelligent enough to figure out who should lead the country.
Oh, man.
16-year-olds know exactly what they're doing.
They can barely find their own ass to wipe it, man.
Pretty much. I was one of those 16-year-olds. Yeah.
So was I.
I never should. I would never trusted myself with something such as voting. It's like even at 18, I probably shouldn't have been doing it. Like it used to be 21.
Which is where it should be.
And originally voting was limited, and there was a reason why it's limited. It was limited at the time. It was limited to the people who were most impacted by the decisions that were made with voting.
Mm-hmm. Landowners. And it's still to this day, the decisions made by voting public impacts land and business owners more than it impacts anyone else. All them people, they end up with a lot of free money out of it, or they think it's free money, which there's no such thing as free money. Everything has to be paid for from somewhere. And all that free money comes from taxes. Another thing that's in that bill is they're going to remove the rule that states that people who are not American can't vote.
Oh yeah.
If you're in the country, you can vote.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's an intelligent one too,
Yeah.
And of course what that does is that guarantees, as he says, I can tell you just that one thing alone would guarantee the Republicans would win, because
right now,
all times, because almost all, or not Republicans, Democrats, and what Democrats would win.
Yes, Democrats
would win, because almost always whenever new immigrants arrive in the States, the first generation votes Democrat.
Because they think that the Democrats are actually helping them.
You think Democrats are helping them? They're giving them these free services to get started, and that's why the Democrats push all the free services, because it makes people feel good, and they don't have to do anything to earn it, and so they just keep voting them in office. Where the Republicans are always like, be a person, stand on your own 2 feet, earn your way, do this,
Mm-hmm.
Don't be a system surfer. All right, let's see. I think I forwarded enough past all his jabbering here. Let's see if we can watch this little bit.
to everything that's been going on about COVID-19 for the better part of the last year.
Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Oh, come on.
I want to talk to this important person. Maybe it was that. So, of what we know, edutainment
There we go.
information that I think is pretty valuable nowadays. So spread the good word. And here's the interview that Steph and I had with Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci, I'm Matthew.
And I'm Stephanie. It's great to meet you.
And we run a edutainment channel on YouTube. So thank you so much for taking the time with us today to talk about COVID, the vaccine last year, and in the...
Okay, I've got to get to something else on here. This seems like a place where they might nail me if I run too much of their video without talking. Give me a strike or something stupid just because I'm trying to figure out where to be on their video. Let's see. Let's start right about there. Try this.
People still think this is a hoax and it's fake news and it's not real. That seems astounding to me that even in region.
Not a hoax, but there's a shitload of fake news and there's a shitload of it's not real. Yeah, the virus exists. Yeah, people have died, but
I wish you would have let that play because Fauci's response is very interesting.
oh, we're going to let that play. I just thought
Okay.
I just paused it. Paused
okay.
it. Let's go.
Regions of the country where the hospitals are being overrun by running out of beds with exhausted personnel, and people in that region still not wearing masks, believe it's a big hoax, believe it's being overplayed, and it's
touch on the part there of the hospitals overrun. That's so much bullshit.
Yeah, but they probably are exhausted from all of those videos.
All those
keep
TikTok
doing.
videos they keep doing. Yeah.
Yes.
They keep doing these synchronized TikTok videos. Yeah, that's got to wear them out. I mean, just think of all the practice sessions to get it like that.
I have seen people who are recording them practicing while ignoring someone who is literally holding his side and bleeding, and they're ignoring him while they do a TikTok video or they are dancing. They're practicing for a TikTok video.
I wouldn't doubt it. Wouldn't doubt it.
fake news. That to me is just, in all of the decades that I've been involved in infectious disease work and dealing with outbreaks, I've never seen a...
Oh God. Okay. I would love to play this whole thing here. I'll have to watch it at a later time, but go check this one out, folks. It's probably quite entertaining. And if you've got an open mind and you're ready to see through the bullshit, yeah, these are the kind of things that we want to bring in, but we have to have the precise clip on them. And you do know you can actually grab the link with the time code for the video. So it loads precisely the time codes you want.
Oh, I did not know that. How do you do that?
Well, what you do is on YouTube, when you click on the share button, it pops up, and then underneath where the URL is, there's a little square box that says start at, and you can set the time. And wherever you'd paused it at, it'll start at that point, and then you copy that link, and so when it loads the video, it loads precisely to that time.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So it's a very useful way for getting right to the point instead of trying to figure it out on here. I'm trying to remember to do that when I grab a YouTube video so that I can play the point I want and then move on with it. And these are the things we want to bring in, and we'll just start ripping things apart like this that aren't pulled apart on other shows, just to make it entertaining for the second half of show stuff. And
I tried to send this into No Agenda, but I can't for the life of me figure out how to send him things.
Well, one of the things you want to do is if you don't want to send him a whole video like this because he won't watch it.
Yeah.
You send it to Adam, just email it to him. Just grab the link, as I told you, with the time code, and then give him a brief description of what it is, and then give him the link with the time code, and then he'll watch it because it's right. The time code needs to load right where it needs to load. He can watch the part you need him to see. Tell him about 30 seconds after this time code link. So he knows he's only got to spend 30 seconds of his time.
Okay. But yeah, this is one of those things that I don't think a lot of adults are even aware of. Because this is, like I said, on game theory, which I only know about because of my 12-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think a lot of adults even know about this. That disturbs me pretty much.
Probably not. And when you put it like that, I never thought about it, but I educate my boys to analyze stuff. So many kids won't, and many kids they'll start believing it. So of course, and that's what Democrats do, is they go after, and this comes from Tim Pool stuff, is they go after the culture. They go after the young kids. You get into the young minds early, you can mold them into anything you want.
Like Hitler said, get them young enough, you can teach them anything.
Yeah, you get them young enough, you can teach them anything. They'll believe any way you want. All you have to do also is get them separated from the influence of their parents if their parents don't believe that way. You know, the parents are the biggest influence. You know, even if they don't have a perfect relationship with their parents are still the biggest influence.
Yeah, it makes me really glad that my girls are pretty good at thinking critically and analyzing things. Because otherwise, my daughter never would have brought this to me otherwise.
Yeah, she would have played it, and whatever things would be internalized from it would get internalized, and that'd be it. I'll have to watch this one. Maybe we'll have to bring this one back to the show where we can properly analyze it.
Okay. Well, that's all of my links I had.
All right. And what we need to do is we're coming up on, we've been at 2 hours, man. It's amazing how fast time goes when we start.
It is, especially when you have so many different topics you can just bounce right through.
Yeah, when we get so many different things rolling, it makes it easy to start bouncing through it. I think we'll wrap it up here. It's been long enough. You know, we didn't get booted from YouTube, so we must have stayed within the boundaries of the rules, which is good. You know, even though we had that nice big discussion with Mr. Friendly there, and touched upon one of the forbidden words on YouTube, the early 20th century German folks.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's one of the forbidden words on YouTube, unless you have it in the right context. And I'm pretty sure we had it in the right context, so we're good.
You know, I just realized that Mr. Friendly was really good about avoiding that word. I was not.
Yeah, I didn't even give it a thought, man. To me, it's like it's just a word, man.
Yeah.
It's just a word. You know, it has an unfortunate meaning in history as one of the darkest periods of human history. It has an unfortunate meaning for that, and it's the way it went. And unfortunately, it destroyed one of the most meaningful symbols for humanity.
It really did. That symbol has such a beautiful history up until that era.
And what's funny is I didn't even realize it till last year. That symbol is created in our night sky over the course of 1 year.
Yeah, I remember learning about that somewhere.
It's the Big Dipper, which the handle is attached to the North Star, which means it's permanently fixed one spot in the northern sky over the course of a year. And this is the northern hemisphere. At summer solstice, it's pointing to the right. At winter solstice, it's pointing to the left. At fall solstice, spring solstice, pointing to the right. Fall solstice, pointing to the left. Winter solstice. I got solstice and equinoxes messed up. Spring equinox, fall equinox, left and right. Summer solstice at the bottom, winter solstice at the top. The handle part is. And when you take that and you draw the lines on that, it makes a perfect life symbol of life.
Well, you know, that's probably where the symbol originated, was from the sky then, because the original meaning of that symbol that I knew was that it was about the 4 seasons and about the life in each season, because there is specialized life in each season.
Yeah, well, but that's what the symbol means in Japan, where it's all over their temples. They had to. The fortunate thing is they don't apologize for the symbol at all, but it's made it hard on tourism in some areas. But they refuse to apologize for it or take it down because it's part of their history going back 1,000 years.
Yeah, they actually keep their history, unlike the Western civilization, man.
Well, they're one of the few completely homogenous civilizations. 98% of their population is Japanese.
Yeah.
They are extremely difficult to get into or immigrate into Japan unless you're Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a few Westerners there. There's a few Easterners there, or a few other Easterners there, but they are one of the few countries on the globe that has stayed homogenous. And when you stay homogenous, you have the ability to keep your culture. You're not fighting with other people that want to bring their culture in and change your culture.
Yeah.
And that's what North America has been like that since its founding. I mean, it was First Nations culture, which was then forced European culture, and now they're forcing other cultures on us.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the way you have it when you have countries that are melting pots like Canada and the United States.
I did a mind project with myself. The mind project was, what if we ended up having, instead of countries where it's all intermingled and stuff, what if you would take each province of Canada and make each one a specific culture. Yeah. Like you could make it religious cultures, or you can make it whatever other culture you wanted. And I was thinking about it, I was wondering, if we actually had the idea of doing that, how would that actually affect people? Would we start warring with each other over our cultures, or would we accept the fact that we were separated by a border and just be pleased to see the various cultures? It would be like going through a rainbow flag.
Yeah, we would eventually degenerate into wars. I mean, if you want to know how that works, you can go back to the First Nations when they were first discovered here in North America, when the Europeans found them. The First Nations were at constant war with each other.
Yes, they were.
They say that although they live peacefully on the land, yeah, that's so much bullshit there.
No.
They were constantly fighting with each other over each other's differences in cultures, and their differences in beliefs, or sometimes for land or hunting ground rights. Hunting ground rights were a big one. Land. And then, of course, because the population sometimes were small, they needed fresh injections of DNA, so they would go steal each other's women.
It was a thought experiment.
No, it's a great thought experiment. I really like it. All right, I'm going to wrap it up here. We're going to pull another reading from the Bible. This is going to come from Jeremiah, chapter 30. This was just a flip open of it. And we're just going to read the first four lines. What the hell are they called now? Verses. That's it. Verses. First four verses.
Wait, you gotta say which Bible it is.
Oh, it's the Holy Bible, man. Holy Bible Reference Edition. King James.
There we go. Reference edition.
King James Version. This is the wonderful thing about this is all the stuff I was reading earlier were the words of Jesus Christ, because all the words of Jesus Christ throughout this Bible are printed in red, and all the words from the prophets are printed in black.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, this is the Bible. This is the Bible I spent so much time with in years. I've actually got underlines and other miscellaneous notes in here from when I went to Sunday school as a kid, because I've had this Bible since 1972.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's when it was. Let's see. My grandma gave it to me. She wrote in here. Oh, 1973. June 2nd, 1973. It was given to me by my grandma. And I've got study guides and other notes written in it from when I used to go to Sunday school, and I would take notes. I was diligent. I could recite all the books of the Bible at one point in time. I knew every one of them. I had a brain.
Oh, read on, Maestro.
All right. Chapter 30, Jeremiah. The word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, Thus speaketh the Lord God of Israel, saying, Write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. For lo, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, saith the Lord. And I will cause them to return to the land that I gave their fathers, and they shall possess it. And these are the words that the Lord spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. There you go. That's all you get. You want to hear the rest? Go read it. Jeremiah chapter 30, verses 1 to 4. I figure I want to, get into doing that again. I started out the Rogues Tavern channel originally doing Sunday morning services, where I was reading the book of Genesis. It looks like I got as far as the chapter 30, verse 31. But I was going to read the whole Bible, and I was going to read through the book of Genesis.
What is that?
Oh, Siri, speaking up. For some reason it said I don't understand. Hey, Siri. I never said Siri. Fuck you, Siri. I never said Siri at all.
It loves you.
So my iPad somehow interprets words to make it think it said, hey, Siri. And there it goes.
But funny thing is, when you said that, did it go?
Yes, it did.
Oh, okay.
It kicked up, and now I got to turn the bitch off again. So one of my boys has set my iPad up to use voice command. That's great. I have an eavesdropping device running all the time now. Lovely. Lovely. I gotta go in there and turn that off. All right, we're done. I gotta play some music, get out of here. Off we go. Thanks everyone who did join us. We back down to 2, so it's probably the 2 people here. And but we did at one point hit 5 viewers. So,
brilliant.
So we're going to gather some attention sooner or later, and I'll stuff this up on BitChute after it's all done. But let's carry us out of here with some Days of Thunder.
These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. A quarter after midnight, and I'm watching the wall. Sometimes I feel so uptight, I just can't sleep at all. Every day doing the same old thing, we're losing time. The weekend comes, we gotta have some fun and rewind. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. I feel the rope tightening, choking off our air. We need to grab some lightning. Friday's almost here. Caught in a web, we need to cut this thread we're hanging by. Where is it said you have to be half dead to survive? These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder.
And that's all we got, folks. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Take care.
All right, we're out of here.
So the